else, cause I can't tell the broke boy. I can't tell the broke boy. I can't tell the broke boys. I can't tell the broke boy. I can't tell the broke boy. No. I can't tell the broke boy. I can't tell the. That nigga's crazy. Hopping in, bitch, and I saw it to be. Snakes in the grass, so they harder to see. My brother would give up his life to the O. He told me he'd go be a martyr for me. Said that she ready to come to the 6. I hit up Pauline and charter the P. Ain't really leave, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm riding around in Atlanta with Sav, cause that nigga been going harder than me. Nothing to change, I'm just harder to please. Ferrari is making an SUV. We ain't got a choice, we ordering these. Shout out Noel for recording the V's. He know where they shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention a hoe. And don't even mention a foe, unless you was trying to go pro. Whoa, I got more stripes than Adidas. Yeah, I got the stripes for fucking. I don't chase bitches, I leave them. Hoes screaming like I'm I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas like a pussy. I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas, then you. Whoa. All that foundation she wearing, she thinks she QC. Telling I might sneaky link you with me. You must be Coach K cause you ain't P. I'm on the jet like my last name Lee. 2 sticks in my hand like I'm playing a Wii. G-Block babies will spank you for free. We rough niggas up, now they begging for peace. Baby. Stepping on shit out in fresh in my toe. One in I toe, I'm so OVO. Halloween coming, he wanna dress up, but he don't need no costume, I'm turning on ghosts. She called me mute cause I stay in her throat. Still hit that boy, got his ass hitting notes. My niggas were man, so you know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention a hoe. And don't even mention a foe, unless you was trying to go broke. Oh damn, man, you niggas is the worst. Savage snatch you out your crib, then drop you in a hearse. Baby, please, man, me nervous. Stop reaching in your purse. Nigga went and bought a house when he could've bought a verse. Niggas dumb as fuck. Imagine if I did that stupid shit when I was coming up. My crib feel like a hedge fund. I be in here just thumbing up. No, I'm S1 until I'm done fucking London up. Niggas made me nauseous. I had enough of pro boys. I can't talk to bro 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 boys. All you niggas make me sick. All you niggas rapping about the bricks and the licks. And I hear in real life you living with your bitch. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boys. I don't want no combo. I don't got no time for niggas posting mansion, living in a condo. Y'all be make believing. I cannot relate to ya. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boys. I cannot believe y'all was dissing on a old boy. I can't even think of how you came up with that flow, boy. Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. 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 No. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to.
Doctor.
Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. No. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to. That nigga's crazy. Hopping in, bitch, and I saw it to be. Snakes in the grass, so they harder to see. My brother would give up his life to the O. He told me he'd go be a martyr for me. Said that she ready to come to the 6. I hit up Pauline and charter the P. Ain't really leave, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm riding around in Atlanta with Sav, cause that nigga been going harder than me. Nothing to change, I'm just harder to please. Ferrari is making an SUV. We ain't got a choice, we ordering these. Shout out Noel for recording the V's. He know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention a hoe. And don't even mention a foe, unless you was trying to go pro. Whoa, I got more stripes than Adidas. Yeah, I got the stripes for fucking. I don't chase bitches, I leave them. Hoes screaming like I'm I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas like a pussy. I don't don't get mad, I get even. Bitch, you niggas, then you whoa. All that foundation she wearing, she thinks she QC. Telling I might sneaky loot you with me. You must be Coach K cause you ain't P. I'm on the jet like my last name Lee. 2 sticks in my hand like I'm playing the Wii. G-Block babies will spank you for free. We rough niggas up, now they begging for peace. Baby. Stepping on shit out in fresh in my toe. One in I toe, I'm so OVO. Halloween coming, he wanna dress up, but he don't need no costume, I'm turning on ghosts. She caught me mucus, I stay in her throat. See, hit that boy, got his ass hitting notes. My niggas were man, so you know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe. And don't even mention the foe. Unless you was trying to go broke. Oh damn, man, you niggas is the worst. Savage, snatch you out your crib, then drop you in a hearse. Baby, please, man, me nervous. Stop reaching in your purse. Nigga went and bought a house when he could've bought a verse. Niggas dumb as fuck. Imagine if I did that stupid shit when I was coming up. My crib feel like a hedge fund. I be in here just thumbing up. No, I'm SN1 till I'm done fucking London up. Niggas made me nauseous. I had enough of broke boys. I can't talk to broke boys. I can't talk to bro boys, 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 I can't talk to bro boys. All you niggas make me sick, all you niggas rapping about the bricks and the licks. Then I hear in real life you living with your bitch. I can't talk to bro boys, I can't talk to bro boys, I can't talk to bro boys. I don't want no combo, I don't got no time for niggas posting mansion, living in a condo. Y'all be make believing, I cannot relate to ya. I can't talk to bro boys, I can't talk to bro boys. I cannot believe y'all was dissing on a old boy. I can't even think of how you came up with that flow, boy. Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. 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 No, no, I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to
Doctor.
Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. No, no, I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to. That nigga's crazy. Hopping in, bitch, and I saw it to be. Snakes in the grass, so they harder to see. My brother would give up his life to the O. He told me he'd go be a martyr for me. Said that she ready to corner the 6. I hit up Pauline and charter the B. Ain't really leave, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm riding around in Atlanta with Sad, cause that nigga been going harder than me. Nothing to change, I'm just harder to please. Ferrari is making an SUV. We ain't got a choice, we ordering these. Shout out Noel for recording the V's. He know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe. And don't even mention the foe. Unless you was trying to go broke. Whoa. I got more strikes than Adidas. Yeah, I got the stripes, fuck leave. I'm close screaming like I'm just. I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas like a pussy. I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas, then you whoa. All that foundation she wearing, she thinks she QC. Telling I might sneaky loot you with me. You must be Coach K cause you ain't P. I'm on the jet like my last name Lee. 2 sticks in my hand like I'm playing the Wii. G-Block babies will spank you for free. We rough niggas up, now they begging for peace. Baby. Stepping on shit out in fresh in my toe. One in I toe, I'm so OVO. Halloween coming, he wanna dress up, but he don't need no costume, I'm turning on ghosts. She caught me mucus, I stay in her throat. See, hit that boy, got his ass hitting notes. My niggas were man, so you know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe. And don't even mention the foe. Unless you was trying to go broke. Oh damn, man, you niggas is the worst. Savage, snatch you out your crib, then drop you in a hearse. Baby, please, man, me nervous. Stop reaching in your purse. Nigga went and bought a house when he could've bought a verse. Niggas dumb as fuck. Imagine if I did that stupid shit when I was coming up. My crib feel like a hedge fund. I be in here just thumbing up. No, I'm SN1 till I'm done fucking London up. Niggas made me nauseous. I had enough of broke boys. I can't talk to bro 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 boys. All you niggas make me sick. All you niggas rapping about the bricks and the licks. And I hear in real life you living with your bitch. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boys. I don't want no combo. I don't got no time for niggas posting mansion, living in a condo. Y'all be make believing. I cannot relate to ya. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boys. I cannot believe y'all was dissing on a old boy. I can't even think of how you came up with that flow, boy. Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. 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 No, no. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to
Doctor?
Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. No, no. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to. That nigga's crazy. Hopping in, bitch, and I saw it to be. Snakes in the grass, so they harder to see. My brother would give up his life to the O. He told me he'd go be a martyr for me. Said that she ready to corner the 6. I hit up Pauline and charter the P. Ain't really leave, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm riding around in Atlanta with Sav, cause that nigga been going harder than me. Nothing to change, I'm just harder to please. Ferrari is making an SUV. We ain't got a choice, we ordering these. Shout out Noel for recording the V's. He know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe. And don't even mention the foe, unless you was trying to go pro.
All right, guys. Good evening. Good evening. I hope you're all doing well today. It's Tuesday. Taking the week by storm. Staying busy. Staying on top of stuff. Staying out of the way for the most part, I would say. You know, but besides the little dragging that I have to do every now and then, right? Excuse my community wall etiquette. But I'm doing great. I could be doing better, but I'm doing great enough. I woke up. I got food in my belly. I got a roof over my head. There's really not too much to complain about besides missing my best friend, aka my cat. So I appreciate everyone who stuck out here with me while I've been on my little ghost moments trying to deal with life and also bring valuable content. So this topic came to me for a number of reasons, right? You guys saw the conversation we had over by the Black House about crabs in a barrel. And, you know, I've had this topic on my mind for a while, right? I wanted to cover it before, but again, I had a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't have really time to get into it. But this subject matter is actually something that's been on my mind for a while, right? And I know it's pretty easy to have this conversation from a blickety black perspective, right? Because I definitely do think we do it more to ourselves than other groups, right? That's where there's a lot of destruction and internal violence in our community. Not to say that that's much different than other groups, right? Other groups have, internalized violence. They're going to be violent more towards the people that are around them. Good evening, Sharon. How are you? Great show earlier. But, you know, a lot of the times what's happening is that people in general are just envious, right? They don't like to see others do well, especially people that they thought were beneath them or that they thought they were superior to, right? Because what people don't get about inferiority complex, it's feeling so small in yourself that you have to put other people down in your mind, right? You don't feel right without doing that. So I would say that this mentality, even though I'm speaking about it today, specifically amongst Black people, I'm also talking about in general because I think this can apply this can apply in general. But as a Black person, I'm going to talk about what is going on in my culture, in my environment. But I do want to make that disclaimer because I think I see this amongst white people too. I see this amongst other groups too. I think in general, people are just envious of other people doing well. They don't like to see it, especially if they can't in some way connect themselves to it, right? That's the narc in a lot of people. Yeah, so much jealousy for real. It's crazy. Hey, twin, how are you? Let me see. That's practically this entire space. Yeah, I agree. But I think it's become that way, and I think it's become that way because there are groups of people who make it so right. They make it difficult. Oh, I miss Liberated. Did I miss you there? Where are you? Much love, sis. Look out, chat. Hope everybody good. Keep your head up, sis. I sympathize with you. I've experienced it a few times. You know, and crazy part is even though I'm sad, I'm not gonna not get another cat. Like I'm definitely gonna get another cat. It's just difficult dealing like especially some pet that's around you all the time. Like I don't know what people don't get it. Like especially people who've never had pets, but like your pet is literally there when you wake up, when you take a nap, after you come back from the gym. Like it's always there. So not having that same support, right, is difficult. It really is. But I know he was in a lot of pain at the end. Um, and so that's why I had to make that choice for him. So even though I'm sad, I know that the choice we made for him was a better one because of what he was going through. So I appreciate everybody, though, the people who have humanity in this space, right? Not the ones who look for an opportunity to treat people poorly for anything, right? You just disagree with them, and that's their excuse to drag you, abuse you, dox you, follow you around, that type of thing. So I appreciate those who act like people. I used to be the same. You know what's crazy? I used to be the same way. And I found out the reason why we didn't even have pets when we were teenagers is because my mom had a dog, a beautiful dog, and it was stolen from her. So she was very, scared to build that relationship with a pet anymore. It happened to her young. So, that kind of stuff changes. But I realized that it's not because I didn't like pets. It's just I didn't have one around. I wasn't normalized to that because I really loved my cat. Like, he was the cutest thing ever, born with fresh blue eyes, all black, smooth. So for me, he was like Jazz. I looked at him. That was the first name that came out of my mouth. Like he was smooth. And so I'm going to miss him. He had more of an impact on me than most human beings. So only good memories I can remember. I have two dogs. Yeah. They're literally like children. That's the crazy. And even though I don't have kids, right, I feel a great loss of something that I took care of when it was a baby to when it was an elder, right? Because my cat was almost 10. He was a senior cat. But I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, Black Beauty. I appreciate it. But I think it's about exposure when it comes to pets because like I said, I had the same experience. I used to be scared of dogs, cats, but it was because I didn't have a lot of pets around me. My mom was very skittish. We got a dog, and then we had to give it away because she didn't like the hygiene around the house with the dog. So, but I really think it was a fear of attachment. Hey, Daryl. Saying hello to each other. Yeah, I've had two dogs that ended up having some type of internal illness, so we had to put them down to avoid them suffering more than they already had. Yeah, and sometimes we think, oh, I want to keep this cat alive. I can do anything. But we don't understand the quality of life that goes down for a cat or a dog or any animal that's suffering. Like it's not like they understand. It's not like they know, okay, I got to get treatment and so I'm going to feel better. Or, it's so much that's with a pet that they don't deserve to suffer like that, so we do sometimes have to make decisions, and he was having a number of seizures at the end. He was in a lot of pain, so I think we made the right decision for my pet, but it's sad to have lost him. But also I'm grateful to have known a pet, right? A cat like that, who I met him and I instantly saw his spirit, what he, but people who have no empathy or compassion, they don't care, but they don't feel things. So they will find any reason to go down low to hell, right? They'll even go and pick from an experience that has nothing to do with whatever we're talking about so that they can justify being derogatory or evil towards somebody, because me calling you out for sitting there and distorting someone's child picture, that's not an excuse for you to make a joke about my pet dying. But you know what? My cat is going up. You are going down. So there's nothing for me to feel, right? And for me, when a nigga that's hellbound says that to me, it means nothing. Right? Nothing, especially when my cat is levitating. But I think it's funny that people will claim that they're moral people, but they go to hell so fast. I don't go to hell unless somebody goes there with me, right? Even though everyone likes to gaslight and act like I do things on purpose, I don't go to hell until someone goes there with me. And even then, there's lines I won't cross. Right? I'm not going to put my future in jeopardy. I'm not going to hurt anybody else, really. I'm going to talk shit to you, right? I might drag you. I might make you cry. Okay? This is the Leo in me. I'm sorry. I can't do nothing about that. But I'm not going to try and physically harm you. Right? And this culture of hating, of wanting to see people do bad, right? Because they're not associated with you. Maybe because they don't like you. Maybe because they've distanced themselves from you. Wanting to see people, families in danger, wanting people to be in jail, right? Wanting people's relationships to break up, wanting people's children to be taken by the state. Those things are things you do when you are a low vibrating spirit, right? This culture of hating that we've built amongst each other, where we think it's okay to do these things to each other because of whatever mental justification and gymnastics that we have to do. It's a problem. It's a real issue. And instead of talking about this from a frame of my personal drama or what's going on in my life, I'd rather talk about this from a real perspective. Right? I have no intentions of making this a drag bandits thing. No, I want to talk about what's really going on, why people are so comfortable treating each other like this, why we can take a social argument or some beef and use that as a justification to harm somebody, whether we're doing it digitally or we're, physically harming someone in real life, really trying to sabotage their life, their relationships, their livelihood, right? It's all a part of this problem that we have, this culture of hating each other, this crab in a barrel mentality where nobody else around us can do better if we're not. And even then, we want to do better than everybody else. That's how we stay above. Right? If you look at the continent of Africa, I'm not trying to be mean here, I'm African myself. That's a perfect example of this. Crabs in a barrel. Because there's money on Africa. If you think there isn't, then you really don't know a lot. There's money. But the corruption, the harming your own people is so deep rooted that somewhere like America seems more prosperous to people than being on a land full of resources and what's already, it's self-sustaining. And there's young people trying to rebuild it, but how are the young people going to face, cultures in generations and generations of people who've fought to keep their own people who look just like them down, right? This is it's a widespread issue. It affects us globally. America isn't the worst place. So I want to make sure we understand that this is not specific to America, but I'm going to talk about it from that perspective because that's where I am. But it's not specific to America. J Prince, don't give me a headache. Because all you know how to do is give headaches. That's all you do. That's all you know how to do. When isn't a fat nigga crashing out, right? But I want to maintain the integrity of this stream, so I'm going to try and stay on the subject. But when is a fat nigga not crashing out? Flora cussed me out last night. She losing it. If you guys heard what the J Prince was saying, when I tell you some people just open their mouths to try and be controversial, J Prince is he encapsulates that in a person of just saying anything. If you were to put together a picture of what Just Saying Anything looks like, it would look like James. That's what it would look like. So don't even start. Hey, Big Draws, even though you're a bandit, stop giving these folks your energy, sis. They're going to keep going the more you entertain it. You know, honestly, I haven't really been paying attention to them, but I feel the need to call them out. So that's the extent of me engaging with them. I don't really go to their channel or really go in their chats or watch their shows. I mean, they're boring and they're paying subpar looking women to be on the panel. So, I mean, until he gets a bigger budget for women on the panel, because $20 a show ain't getting nobody. Let me stop. I'm trying to preserve the integrity of the stream. So I'm just going to get back to the subject because, again, this is there's some serious subject matter in this. And I don't want to do too much dragging in the beginning of the stream so that we don't get to everything. Yeah. Hey, Raw Talk, how are you? Stop getting on my nerves. Thank you, Jordan. There was who was it? Trigger Mikey was reaching for my wig this afternoon. I was like, oh, back up. These bandits are always worried about somebody's hair. Hey, SNW 380, how are you? Happy Tuesday. It ain't the best place either. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm being silly. Yeah, that's your name. Your name is fucking James. Calling you J Prince, I'm tired of it. When you act like a peasant, you don't act like a prince. You act like a fucking peasant. Girl, full of busted. Let me not. I'm just trying to be. You sure you haven't been paying attention to them? I'm not just talking about their shows. I'm talking about giving them your attention at all. You know what? Liberated to an extent. I would say that I'm not paying them an attention, but at the same time, you're making posts and videos. You're clipping my streams. I want to see what's going on, and eventually, I'm gonna stop doing that. I have bad etiquette, right? Like in terms of not being able to ignore stuff. So I just go and I watch it, and I'm like, wow, this dude's weird. I haven't watched one of your shows, but you're clipping my streams up. Every single last stream that I've done has been clipped up in some way, shape, or form. So I guess I've made it, right? When bandits start clipping you up and making you their content, you've made it, right? Well, it is what it is. But I'm working on it, all right? So bear with me. I'm going to keep trying to ignore these bandits, but when they're literally taking my streams and making it their own content, when I say that people lack creativity, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, me. I'm nobody, right? I'm just Flora, just a dumb troll, right? But you sit and watch all of my streams and you clip them up piece by piece by piece, and you somehow saw a Martha Stewart design box in my bathroom that had tissue paper and a open bag of toilet paper in it that I was getting ready to throw out. That's why my camera wasn't on, because I was cleaning my bathroom and doing my makeup. And that was enough for you to feel like you did content for the day. You know, sometimes I marvel at the laziness from some of these people, you know, so. But let's keep it on the culture of hating. I think this space is remedial at this point. That's a fact. Yeah, I definitely think it's lack of creativity, because I think even people try to criticize, some people who run panels. And don't get me wrong, some people who run panels, they should quit, right? They should just stop doing it, right? But I think other people who run panels, their panels turn into discussions where people actually gain ground with each other, right? They actually start to understand that we don't always have to be fighting and disagreeing, right? We can just have a discussion. We can just share and exchange thoughts. We can agree to disagree, right? We can build ground with each other as people, right? We can start to understand that having discussions with each other about heated topics doesn't have to turn into, oh, I'm fly out over here so I can beat your ass. It doesn't have to turn into that. Right, but when you have people who don't know how to moderate, exactly, DB. Listen, I will start a petition on change.org. Take the mics away from the bandits. All right. If you don't read above a 8th grade, 9th grade reading level, give your mic up. You cannot have it. Because a lot of these dudes can barely pronounce the words even in the things that they try to present as data and evidence. I mean, dudes are pulling up what's it, gossip and like gossip columns to present evidence and science, right? So I think when people just have nothing to offer, it's difficult because they're going to try and feed off of other people and their energy and their conversations. I mean, how many panels of certain people have turned into videos and live streams and 10,000 reaction videos? Big draws, go find you some smaller draws that fit you and your tiny peen. Because I'm tired of you coming in here crying and begging people to forgive and let Fatty to be an asshole and not call him out. Okay? He and other people in this space, because I'm not going to say it's even just men, right? Because women who I don't talk about, I don't worry about, they plot on the back end. I know. And the fact that people think I'm not going to know that you're plotting on me on the back end is hilarious, right? You guys have no loyalty to each other. How do you think it's not going to get back to me? A lot of y'all will talk crap about the same people that you sit and eat meals or whatever, digital meals, because y'all be on here 24/7. These same people that you talk crap about me with or do this, that, and the third, they are going to, the message is going to get out anyways. But people who I don't even be worried about are on the back end plotting on me, trying to get other people to hate me. I mean, I thought I was irrelevant, right? Isn't that what people have been saying? I'm irrelevant. I'm stupid. I got 9 people in my chat, right? Nobody's gonna clip up this video though. But this is a deep rooted issue, and I didn't know how else to have this discussion without getting somewhat scholarly, because this is not just I think this is more than a cultural issue. I think there is some deviance going on here. I think some people have they're just from generations and generations of haters, right? And I think that behavior and that mindset, it is contagious, right? Some people, I don't know how many of you guys have been around some people and you notice that all they do is criticize everybody else. All they do is talk about other people and what they're doing and how they don't deserve this or that, or how they're just stuck up. Or I can't be around people like that, because it's giving hater. It's giving you want to be them, right? It's giving you want to be in their spot. Because I don't fixate on people unless you're my man. I'm not fixated on you. Unless you're my best friend or one of my friends, I'm not worried about anybody like that. But there are people who, they hold on to this hatred and jealousy and envy of others, and they move around however they do, whether it be trying to isolate others, whether it be trying to actually harm people, whether it be physically trying to harm people, like, because there are many ways to harm people. You can harm people for real. You can psychologically damage them, right? You can damage their self-esteem. There's so many ways that you can hurt people. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they can do different ways, right? They can try and isolate you and claim they're not doing nothing, right? Because some people don't say anything. Some people be on the back end and they watch it and they're like, ugh, but they never speak up. They never say, why are you all plotting against one person? Why do you guys all hate one person? And that, I'm not just speaking about myself. I'm speaking about numerous people, so it's weird though, for real. Be all talking about drop the address. Yeah, I'll drop the addy when they show up. Law enforcement. Listen, I've told that I will call the police on your ass. I'm not here to play no game. I'm not playing tough with nobody on the internet. I will call the police. Try me. Try me. Please do. I have a degree and a career. I'm not getting in the mud with nobody. Try me. The police will be at your place of residence faster than I can sneeze. And people will try to shame you for that. I don't give a fuck how you feel about snitching. I will snitch on the whole block. If y'all some degenerates, if you're a bunch of violent losers, yeah, I'm snitching on the whole block. I'm calling the popo. At this point, we have no reason for protecting people who are gonna hurt anybody who they have a a problem with, who they're jealous of, right? Even some of the stories we're going to go over today, Mahogany Jackson, Shanquella Robinson, those people clearly envied her. They clearly were jealous of these women. And when you see them, I mean, if you haven't already heard these stories, I wouldn't know why. But I don't get why jealousy, envy, whatever hatred or feelings you have to someone can escalate towards harming them, right? That's the issue here. Right? Because black youth are no different than any other youth. Youth all fight. They all get jealous of each other. There's all drama. But why does our violence escalate to violence like this? Right? Why do we delete each other at this rate? Right? Why are women doing this too? Why are women setting each other up? Why are men setting each other up? Right? This is something that is very nefarious, and I really don't understand how somebody's feelings can escalate to this level of violence. Right? I was driven to talk about this story because I saw somebody else talking about this story. I hadn't even heard about this girl's murder. I hadn't even heard about it. You know, we're so dime a dozen with crime today in general. But to hear that a lot of us will get up and talk about the police, but then we won't talk about these issues. You know, I think that's a really big problem, right? I think that's us not wanting to address some of the cultural issues, and as we'll get into in this presentation, the subculture, right? Because culture in America tends to be kind of dominated towards certain groups, right? So everything else technically is a subculture, right? Whether it be certain communities, whether it people who are, you know, united by language, by particular ethnicities or whatever, right? Subcultures exist in pretty big amounts, but I think some subcultures are actually detrimental. They're not serving as an identity centerpiece for people. They're really just a nefarious thing that has been brewing there for a while. So I did want to come at this discussion more from that perspective versus, you know, local drama, for lack of a better word. So yeah, he is, girl. It's amazing how you all complain about you being called names and screenshotting, but be real quick to do it. Big Charles, you know what's so funny about you? Like, you will never address how men and women specifically, right, will go around this space as groups, plotting on people, talking down on people, crying. You've never seen me go in a group, right? Because what I do is individual. There's nobody who I say, hey, we were in this together. I do everything I do individually. You've never seen me walking around here as a group. I've always said I was a free agent. Always. I said I'm for the YouTube streets, right? Not YouTube streets in that way, meaning I can do whatever I want. I'm not signed in a gang, right? Because a lot of people need to be gang associated in YouTube to be successful, to have people view their channel, right? Because a lot of these people wouldn't get more than 3 views. And I know, because when I was first starting out, it was the same for me. You start out with a little bit of views and you build from there, right? But you have some people who aren't comfortable with the low numbers in the beginning, or the testing things out until you get a rhythm, right? A lot of people aren't comfortable. They just see you at a certain point and they feel like, oh, you didn't earn what you got. You got it for being associated with, right? And we're even going to get into that too. So I'm going to let you keep twerking in the chat, but AFR, can you just find something to do? Or if you're going to be here, at least donate, right? If you're going to be in here kicking up dust, wasting space, at least donate to the show. I mean, Jesus. People try to troll and take it too far. They don't know how to troll. That's the problem. You've never seen me go to a certain level. I've never threatened violence. I've never doxed or none of that stuff. Even if somebody says something in the chat and I say, oh, isn't your wife doing that? That's not me knowing real information. I'm running with some drama in the chat. These people will study your Instagram, right? Like Sharon was saying earlier today, they'll study your Instagram. They'll go back years to find some shit to post on their community wall. But then somebody will come in here and say, look at you. You taking screenshots of, yeah, I'm taking screenshots. Yes, if I see you doing some egregious shit and I know the majority of people around you are going to play victim and act like, oh, you did it because somebody said something about Ali's mom. When I said what I said, I didn't even know that nigga's mom was kicked the bucket, you know, whatever. I didn't even know that. But these people want to claim whatever so that they have a reason to justify how they treat people. No, you were doing that before your mom passed and you're doing it after. It has nothing to do with her. You're a dust mite. Nobody was talking about nothing. Nobody even knew nothing about your parent when I said what I said. Because all I said was a yo mama joke. And I didn't know about your mama. But these men can justify anything, right? If you can justify anything, and a dumb bandit will take that and run with it, right? But you know what another bandit won't do? They're not going to screenshot the numbers on this show. That they won't do, because I have 9 people in here usually, right? So leave trolling to the actual trolls. I wish they would. I wish they would. Listen, DB, I will call the police in a hot second. I am not a young adult. I'm grown. I'm 28 years old. Right? I'm the age of a lot of people who got families and kids. Treat me like you would treat them, because I am not a child. I'm not no young adult no more. Come at me, I'm calling the police. Yep, I'm calling the police. What loyalty do I have to some bandit who's willing to rob, stab, shoot me in a heartbeat for a pair of shoes or whatever? Right? I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm just saying in general, what loyalty do I have to people who are willing to take advantage of my, my being a woman, right? Being a soft target. What loyalty do I have to a community that would do that? That's why in some of these cases, I'll say, I'm happy to see the reactions that we're getting from people. People are sick of it. They're sick of watching crime in the community doing bad things and not saying anything, but we still have a long way to go. So, hey, Royce. Yeah, they do. It's in their music. It's in everything. Hey, Travel One. Listen, for some people, it's not. For some people, it's not easy to deal with. They can't take it. They just cannot. So, but I think that's part of the struggle, right? That's part of growing on YouTube is understanding that you're gonna have moments of low numbers. You're gonna have times where you went live during a popping ass, crazy ass show somewhere else, and some people who watch you just happen to be somewhere else, right? Or it's a holiday, or it's something, or it's warm outside and nobody's on the internet. It's gonna be that way sometimes, especially when you're just starting out. But people can't handle it. Right, that's why there's people with thousands of subs or close to thousands of subs, but they can't even meet the watch hour requirements. Right, they can't even grind enough to get that. So, hey, Grape 2 News. AFR, what, you want to buy some? Because this is Korean. This is not white women. This is not lice-infested hair. So I don't know why you guys call this white women hair. This is Korean. Okay, try again. Thank you. They're smart bandits. Smart for a bandit, I should say. Japers, I'm about to block you out of my chat. What the? I'm reading that like, call the ambulance. What is this nigga talking about? Yeah, they're liars and they're crybabies if you do the reverse to them. So they just talk to talk, right? And the funny thing is, you think white women's hair cost $600? You got me fucked up. That would probably 50 cents. And honestly, that's probably a lot of that weave is probably the horse hair that people be buying. Nobody wears white women's hair. I feel inspirational listening to Flora. Aw, I'm glad I can inspire a bandit. I'm glad. Hey, Easy Money Jones, how are you? Yo, mama. Ali suffers from brain damage. Yeah, from ramming his head in the wall every time a girl break up with him. Okay, all right, guys, let's get into the real topic. I've done enough dusting for the moment, but let's continue. Way too thin. All right, so let's have a quick word on crabs in the barrel. All right, so I'm just doing this to, try and like that, because this is going to be a little bit more of a tough show when we start to get into some of the stories. So I did want to just start out by lightening things up a little bit. All right, guys?
That hard exterior, but he ain't really dangerous, except to another crab. Dumb as all hell.
Sorry.
Fascinating creature, the crab. Got that hard exterior, but he ain't really dangerous, except to another crab. Dumb as all hell. Can't even walk straight. Matter of fact, the only thing a crab is good for is holding back other crabs. A crab don't want to see another crab make it.
Yeah, I guess.
Crab is like, if I'm gonna die, we all gonna die.
Yep.
I admire that.
Hmm.
We all gotta die sometimes. Might as well help each other get there. I mean, that's what you did, Distinct Mina. Isn't that right, Robert Freeman?
So, just a very lighthearted, but the main thing to that they bring up there, even though they're joking, is that the crabs are more dangerous to themselves, right? Isn't that pretty true for the community, right? Aren't we more of a danger to ourselves? And I know it's true, right? Everybody is more in danger by the people they're surrounded by. But we have we have higher levels of violence in the community. So I think, just to keep it lighthearted, but it illustrates that inability to let other people elevate, right? Because you're just, you're unable to see it for them because you can't see it for yourself because you're not elevating yourself, right? For whatever reason, a lot of the time it has more to do with your behavior, but because you're not elevating, you don't want to see others. So you're going to sit there and you're going to snap at them and you're going to grab them by the, back or hair, whatever it may be, and try to pull people down, right? Why do you need this, right? I want it. Just relax, right? It's crazy. Jeremiah, you need medication, like real bad. How you ain't buying China glasses? Yeah, they're broke. Hey Mia, happy Tuesday. I'm trying to just stay distracted, stay focused on things, and it's really helping, So I appreciate that people show up here for the content, for things that I'm actually passionate about. So I appreciate you. Yeah, it's definitely a classic. And, people say it can be inflammatory. Can somebody time Jeremiah out, please? Please, I would really appreciate it because he's just talking and I don't like it. Yes, guys, please like the video. J Prince, you need to go to bed. Okay, you're not behaving properly right now, and I don't appreciate it. So, all right. So, do I think that people are actually real? Do I think that the culture of hate is something that we recognize? I would say no. Right? I think it's definitely unspoken. Right? I think that even though a lot of us try to flex and act like we're doing better than other people, a lot of the time, how people are moving is to compare themselves to others, to not want to see somebody doing well, right? And in some cases, it involves minimizing the struggles of other people. So even though I worked really hard for what I've accomplished, even though my parents worked really hard for what they've accomplished, my siblings, it's still going to be diminished because they're going to say, oh, you had this or that I didn't have, right? Or you're lucky, or you didn't go through anything. You had family, you had this, right? That's a lot of what you'll see from people. They'll almost make it seem like you don't have a right to empathy from other people because you had it good in life, right? A lot of people look at people's exterior and maybe how they present in the world and say, you've never struggled. Right? You're sheltered. You don't know anything. They'll look at somebody who presents as bougie and say, you think you're better than us, right? Really, they feel below you, right? You're not really doing or saying anything. But the fact that they feel below you is so loud to them that it's almost like your presence irritates them. Right? It's wanting to see other people fail in life because you did not succeed, right? People who don't go anywhere, who limit themselves to one environment, who stay at the same job, never ask for more pay or whatever. They're going to see somebody else come in and ask for more pay and say, who the hell does she think she is, right? Instead of fighting for what they want themselves, they want to know why you get it and why they can't have it, right? They'll attribute your success to somebody else. Somebody can time out Big Draws. He's misbehaving, and I don't know why. Frieza's just here being a bandit, I guess. Happy Tuesday. I'm in a good mood. Right, trying to keep my mind busy, and it's working. Right, he wouldn't piss on half of these bandits if he was on fire. If they were on fire, right. But not wanting others to see well if it does not involve yourself. This is a big one, right? And I think this kind of more intertwines of that idea with a narc, right? Or getting involved with a narc. Being involved with a narc is gonna be really difficult for you, right? Because a narc wants to see that you became successful because of them. They want to take responsibility for everything that you've accomplished in your life, right? They don't want to see you do well, right? For example, a bandit that I dealt with, right? I had gone to their channel for months, right? Played it up, went over there, was part of the entertainment, right? Acted a fool, kind of fun sometimes. A lot of the times it was doxing and rude stuff. But that person never put me on. They never shared my streams. They never said, hey, this person is a content creator. Never once. But then when I got monetized and I built my channel, that same person wants to mosey around and come in and say, I built you. I was your Anton Daniels. No, that was your daddy. That was your father, not mine. And you were not nothing to me. You have 4,000 subs. Right? But a lot of the times people are going to want to take credit for your success if they were a part of your life, right? That's why it's scary dealing with people like this who are haters, who you don't even know what they really feel about you, right? Because they will play this game with you. They will, make you feel like they did everything for you, that they were the ones who are part of your success. And really, they were there hoping you weren't succeeding the whole time. Right? When you were struggle streaming, they wouldn't even acknowledge that you had a channel. Right? Because they need to see you below them. They can't see you do well, not on your own. You need them. In their mind, you need them. Right? That's why I kind of added that one there as a third one, because I think a lot of people miss this one. Right? You'll have people who will do things for you that really suits their agenda. But they'll make you feel like, or try to tell you, I made you. I did this for you. I did that for you. I put you on. Well, on the back end, they were also contributing to a lot of your downfall. So it's very interesting. Girl, I wish they would. I really wish they would. They claim to have all these people and floodgates of friends and family that's going to just shower them with love, but yet all they do is sit on the internet and attack random strangers. Oh, anytime you see a peggable, just yank them right out of the chat. I don't care. Behave yourselves now. Yeah, Lana, they're acting with donkey. The losers are always on YouTube. Oh, get some motion loser. That's really weird because YouTube is actually a space for people to be creative and make money. But somehow you guys think that because we're on here making money that we're losers. So because I can make money without attacking people, I'm a loser. Okay. Just to get drag over. DV's drags are just mwah. So I actually, in one of the videos I'm going to share today, they actually did kind of I guess Mexico is choosing to choose to charge somebody, but they're unnamed. So I don't know if that information is ever going to be privy to us. I do know somebody who was following the case in the past. They were following it through like a Mexican news source that they had. So I would have to look a little bit deeper. But I did want to just cover the general story. I'm glad. What are all y'all doing here? What's up, Next Level? How are you? Happy Tuesday. You clearly don't have a father. The girls in here really know how to drag. And there was a point where the bandits were coming here and they were like, don't let these people take money out of your pocket. Oh, shut up. What money? $5? You're nothing without Team Fatty Woman. Never forget that. SYSBN, Passport Boys, Husky Hyena. Thank you for the $5. Next time, spend more money if you're going to talk shit. And also thank you for the $2. Again, this is Korean. Okay, so if you can find a Korean bitch, then you can talk about the hair I got in my head. Otherwise, shut your mouth. Because for all I know, you can't find a woman, period. So, we share loser, just like we get reviews talking about monetization. Oh, okay. Are you monetized? Or do you just dick suck on the internet? Because a lot of you guys just dick suck on the internet. And so I'm wondering, what are you getting out of this? Right? Because I'm getting some cash. What are you getting? Nuts? Jizz on your face? I don't know. But the unfuckables are really in here. They're really swinging, Peggable. The girls in here, they really know how to name a dusty. So, I think they put a lot of I think they put a lot of effort into that name. Jesus, these girls really know how to drag. I love it. But yeah, so I guess a fat bandit who doxed me, who stalks me, watches every single last one of my streams, but swears I'm in love with him. Right, he's the one who made me. Okay. Even though my numbers increased after I stopped going to your show, and when I was on Daryl's show, and when I was on the Black House. Interesting enough. Let's see, because she's dumb. That's hilarious. Wapo, do you have a channel? Or are you a fan watching Dumbass? I think he's just a dick sucker in here. That's all. Nothing new. These dudes love to suck dick. I saw one dude the other day say, we don't want you women over here. I was like, okay, like, you don't gotta tell me twice. I'm gone. Like, I don't get these dudes. I think some of them are LGBT. Yes, you can. Absolutely. What's up, DB? Happy Taco Tuesday. DB, thank you so much for the support. Support the show bandits. Yes, if you're going to talk shit, at least send some money. Right? Y'all be going to all these other panels to talk shit. Pull up over here. I'll take your money. Come talk some shit, baby. Come here. Come talk some shit. I'll take your money. Please do. Because y'all think I'd be pressed about what you're saying. If you put it in a super chat, you can say whatever you want. As long as it's not egregious. If it's egregious, not only am I going to take your money, but I'm also going to delete your comments, and I'm going to ban you from my channel. But you can still send me money. So, yeah, he's kind of on my job. If I had a peen, he would suck it. So I don't know what it is, but he's just over here. He's commenting under my videos. He's windmilling for Fatty, so. Jeez, this chat's moving fast. Sorry, guys. Venus, come trap, ladies. Venus, come trap. Yeah, honestly, I don't think he either that or a gastric sleeve, something, because he's big. So you really gotta you gotta really cut down. No, guys, it's messed up, but he's like the one veteran that I don't give a fuck about. And me saying that is hard because I know a lot of veterans. I respect a lot of veterans, but he's a piece of shit. So, not surprising. But Black House loves Flora and accepts her for who she is. Facts. Yes, absolutely. Even when I've dragged J Prince, so you guys can act like I'm hanging out over there because of Fatty, but you guys remember. I remember y'all going over there begging J Prince to be unblocked, begging him to let you on the panel, begging him to talk to you because you're in love. That's all it is. Y'all be in love with these men, and you can't even just say so. Just say so. Just say so, Daddy. It's okay. I'll accept you. If he won't, I will. All right, so let's see a quick video on haters. And the reason why I wanted to do this one, because I think, hold on, guys. Sorry, I made it. Oh, wrong clip. Sorry. Let me pull up the correct clip. And this is just a quick little 8-minute one, but I wanted to get into the psychology of a hater, right? And the reason why I want to get into this, because I think a lot of times we really just think people are just haters, but there's a little bit more to it, right? That's what drew me to a criminology degree in the first place, learning about people and why they do things and what motivates them to do certain things. So let's look at the psychology of a hater really quick.
I want to talk to you about the psychology of a hater. Now, hate is nothing to be taken lightly, but the term hater is thrown around and used quite loosely, to be honest. What are we talking about exactly with hating, haters, people hating on you? What we're talking about are people who perceive you to be more significant than them. There's actually an explanation for this in human needs psychology. According to human needs psychology, we all have 6 basic human needs. Just real quickly: certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, growth, contribution. Those are the 6 needs. Now, you notice one of those I mentioned was significance. This concept of being a hater or haters has directly to do with this need we all have to be significant.
And it's more than significance, right? Because I like the word he used, but I think it's even more than that, right? I think that people want to be validated. And a lot of the times when we don't get validation in our real lives or in our immediate lives, we seek them in abnormal places, right? Whether it be by putting others down, whether it be by joining a group that puts others down, right? There's so many ways that we seek validation that is toxic, that is detrimental, that I think is kind of the big overshadowing issue. Because you can need validation, you can need to be significant or to even be important. But I think we go from important to grandiose at some point, right? With a lot of people, right? Because wanting to feel important and feeling like you are the important thing or the most important person, then that's different, you know? So, and you know what I find funny about this? Why do y'all need to announce this? I don't come online to please you, to say things in a way that it makes people comfortable. I've never done that. Wherever you saw me, I didn't do that either. So I don't understand why come in here, tell me you don't like who I am and that you're leaving. Just go. I've never asked any of you guys why you were leaving. I just said, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to tailor my content around your feelings, around your associations with people on here, around your personal beliefs. I have my own beliefs. And if you think that who I am is too much or you don't like my personality, then that's your problem. I don't know what to tell you. You thought you were going to come here and I was going to behave how you wanted me to. I'm here to run a channel. I'm not here to please you. At the end of the day, I'm not here to please anybody. But I would like that people come here and they're able to enjoy the content. But they always got to make a scene before leaving. Nobody be worried either. Notice how he put that comment. Not one person responded. Not one, because who cares? Why come here just to say, I'm not coming here anymore? Because I thought that was just, I thought you had some great viewpoints. I have great viewpoints. I do. But if you need me to sugarcoat everything, then you don't want to be here. My bio speaks for itself. Right? I let people know in my bio so that you don't come here and act like I pretend to be a type of person I'm not. So instead of making a scene, why don't y'all just come in, sit, and listen? But y'all come in ready to swing, ready to cry, play victim. It's too much. They used to cry to Ronnie because JP didn't want that. Yeah, honestly, it's so weird. You know, a lot of them would, now they have all this beef with PhD, but a lot of them would cry about her and her being able to have a voice. I mean, a lot of these dudes on here don't even want women to have a voice online. That's how defeated and insignificant they feel in life, right? Because I do think to some extent, we ignore the biological concept of men feeling unneeded by women or unwanted, right? I think that's a real thing, right? I think even though in the past men still had to fight for women, I think a lot of men and women were still seeking to become partnered off, to have relationships, to be together. They were still seeking that. But I think now so many of us have seen what others have gone through. We've watched men telling people that they should suffer, that they should bow down, right? And obviously everyone's turned off to this idea of marriage now. And you know, we're stuck with where we are at. So, Flora, where's your man's at? Why are you worried about who my man is and where he's at? Why? I don't get this one. You need to be worried about there is so much technology for hairlines today. You have no excuse to be walking around with that on your head. You have no excuse. So just stop. The haters are bums in real life. Yeah. They are. They're definitely bums, and the Peckables are just in here tonight, antagonizing and antagonizing. Exactly. They got to make a show before leaving. Okay, so you troll others and serious on your own shit. I'm glad you came here to see for yourself, but I will play around and drag your ass in here too. So if you want me to go there, we can take it there, right? Because I will troll, absolutely. I'll also troll here too, right? I'll troll you from my own channel, but I tried to stick to the conversation. So let's continue. I do want to make sure we stay on the topic of haters and their feelings.
And so when somebody feels like they're less significant because of you, let's just say, whether it be because of something you've accomplished, something that you possess, someone you are, anything that makes someone else perceivably less than they are, if they feel insignificant, less significant around you or because of you, this tendency may creep up to hate on you. And that's what we call it. But the bottom line is we all have a need to be significant. And if for some reason that need is not being met, then if we get around or we find out about other people who we feel are more significant or they seem to be more significant and they take attention off of us, because let's be honest, that's what we're talking about is attention. If someone else is getting more attention than you are for certain reasons, therefore they seem to be more significant. We don't call it that, but that's what the need is, significance. If your need for significance is not being met in some other area of your life, then if someone else seems to be more significant than you, this tendency may come out, and vice versa. If for whatever reason your presence or your abilities or who you are or your possessions make someone else feel or someone else feels insignificant, less significant than you are because you don't make it.
And you know, this is where it's a little bit difficult because I think he might be getting into it, but I think you don't make anyone feel anything. I think a lot of the times people allow their emotions and their lack in life to guide how they feel about other people. And I think it's so easy for others to look at maybe the outside or what somebody's doing and make make excuses for, treating them poorly or for having these nasty behavior towards others who are doing better. I think it's easy. I think a lot of people do it. I'm unwanted by all women. It's not anything that's a big deal. I think at the end of the day, people should just go where you're wanted, though. Because if you're finding women who don't want you and they're all saying the same thing, you're looking at the wrong women. You're probably overlooking a slightly hefty, sweet lady who can bake a mean pie. Right? Because let's be real, a lot of y'all will be hefty, hard looking, and you want a supermodel. You want a woman with unlimited options. I mean, why even put yourself through that? And I would never do that. And you know why I would never do that, Jay Prince? Because at the end of the day, even though you might be a dust bucket sometimes, even though your opinions are dusty as hell, you don't come at me like, oh, don't go over there. Don't do that with them people. Oh, don't that. And I get pretty good free reign to act a fool over there. So I think at the end of the day, it's about how you're treating people. I think that the reason why a lot of people resort to bullying tactics and trying to get you to stop working with people is because they know. For example, before I ever went to your channel, I had heard so many things about you, but I had never gone to your channel. So many things to the point where I was like, I feel like I know this nigga. And then I go over there and it's really just fun. But because people know that you have fun and you're just chilling and you're not judging and you're not uptight, they have to make everybody feel a certain way about you. And I really don't rock with that, So I think it's interesting that people are attributing me dealing with or working with certain people as a way to get back at somebody who's never done anything positive for me. It's weird. Versus you, Daryl, I've said it. You guys shared my channel, and I watched my numbers increase when y'all were sharing my channel. So am I going to feel indebted or actually nice towards people who've never harmed me or people who've been harming me continuously, but somehow want my loyalty because they give me $50? But I'm not unique. What's happening to me is not unique. There's so many people who deal with people like this in real life, right? That's why I like to keep the conversation general. But I think the important thing is that a lot of the times it's what you are, what you offer to the world that makes some people hate you. Sometimes you can't control that, right? Some people might pick at everything you do, call you a dusty, call you this, that, and the third. But really, they hate the fact that when people are around you, they feel lighthearted, they're laughing, they're having a good time, right? But for them, they know that for people to want to be around them, there's concessions, there's things they have to do because they're so miserable and shitty that they can't get anybody to genuinely want to be around them. So now they're going to hate people who can get anybody to be around them, who's just laid back and easy to talk to, right? So even though I think it is us that's motivating the person and what we have, we're not even really doing anything. We're just being ourselves. That's what's so frustrating about, dealing with haters, is that you don't even have to do anything, right? It's not a situation of beef or actually going at somebody. It's just what you're accomplishing that is making that person uncomfortable with you, is making them dislike you. So, and I think, honestly, this is a cultural issue because there were so many stories going around when Shanquella Robinson's story came out. People were talking about, oh, it was over a dude. Oh, supposedly she took such and such man, or da da da. And then we find out it was all of this that was going on with them was petty fights. And the only reason why they're getting away with it is because they happen in another country. Till today, that crime still hasn't been solved. So, big back, musky haters. Big back sticks together. They sure do. They sure do. So he's explaining women. No. I see you're odd. I can see why you're unwanted. Lord have mercy. Darkly Keisha is in here twerking, crying. It's only fat women around me anyway. I like fat men. Why is that y'all go to there? Well, I'm just saying, I'm going off of the fact that a lot of you bandits be big backed, but you don't like big women. So, heavy, hard looking you're talking about. 2. There are no supermodels in North Carolina. Wow. We want the best mates, but not all of us can have them. So we can only get the best we can get. You may look at it as a setting, but sometimes it could be the best thing that happened to you. Yeah, I think a lot of times people just shoot way too far out of their league. And then they want to take that out on all women. No, go where you are. If y'all don't know that y'all are looking for women that you are way too ugly for, I don't know how to help you. Stop playing the victim though. You liked it. A lot of men are just slow. Yeah, sugar. I think a lot of these dudes are slow. But in general, I think people who do move like this, who are jealous of others because of what they bring to the world, they are slow. They're lame, right? They're losers, and they just can't fathom that. Everyone's for sale like you are, Flora. No, I'm not actually. But I know you like buying whores, so you think everyone's for sale. You went to his shit and knew what time it was. Why you acting dumb now? Stop crying, bandit. Their lives are more pathetic. Trust. Yeah. For me, it's more so just trying to windmill and get away from these dusties. So with what this guy is saying, but sometimes the hate you're getting is justified and people use you're just hating because you're jealous as a crux. An example is Fatty with his PDF situation. Yeah, I think that's the part. There's some nuance in a lot of this, but I do think hating a lot of the times is the issue. Why do people think, I don't know, girl. Just block them, honestly. Well, it's like you're talking about yourself and women in general, Flora. It's called self-awareness. Actually, it's called go suck a fart out of a man's ass. How about that one? Nothing, right? That's why all the Pegables are in my chat. Does he have a show today or no? Because I don't know why all y'all are here. Broke Zesty Daryl is fatty. Absolutely. I mean, he comes here. He has, I bet you he has thousands of fake channels to come here to pretend that it's somebody else that's clipping and sending him emails. He just sends himself emails, and he creates all these different weird ways to stalk people who don't like him. So here's the bottom line to all this hating. We kept worrying about the next person has. We need to focus on ourselves. If the next person accomplishes more than I have, screw it. I'm working on me. I think this is the big issue, right? Instead of people fixing themselves or building themselves up, they're more, they're more likely to look at what somebody else's have and criticize how they got it. So it's difficult. If I had pocket watch these and hates on everyone making money. Yeah, then he claims that people watching him recycle the same $300. He claims that people watching him recycle the same $300. And I think this conversation could even be applied to this sector too, right? Like the way people move around here is disgusting, right? I would never allow myself to be around any of these people in real life. Girl, your pussy ain't sore yet. Can somebody time out Darkly? I'm honestly tired of seeing him screaming in the chat. But let's continue with this video, and then we'll kind of move along in the presentation.
Anyone feel anything, then they may have that feeling inside of them, and may even behave in a way that they would end up looking like, and we will call them a hater. So when this takes place, we have choices. When this feeling of insignificance takes place, we have choices that we can make, and people make one of, let's say, 3 choices. The first choice is we can identify with them, and we can actually gain significance from their significance. So we can join them and become a part of their team, or piggyback on their success, or follow their lead, or get around them and gain our own significance from the attention or the significance that they're getting.
And that's the hard part, right? There's a very thin line between love and hate. And I think the sad part is that even though this is not a bad thing to tell people to do, I think people are actually putting themselves in danger when they allow themselves to be around people who in some ways want to be in their shoes, right? Because I think it's one thing to have a friend, somebody who really, looks up to you and they see the leadership in you, right? Because we've had friends like that. We know what that feels like, right? That person's always trying to build everybody else up as well as themselves, right? They're not just selfish. They're a very open person. But I've seen open people who build everyone up. I've seen them get attacked, right? I've seen a lot of internal betrayals, right? So I think that even though it is good to, want to bring people in and allow them to piggyback off of your success, it can be a danger too. It really can put you in a bad place, especially if that person around you has nefarious, connections or tendencies, right? And unfortunately, a lot of us, we do still live in the hood. So sometimes we'll be around people that we think we're cool. We think we have the same values as them. But then when things like this happen, we realize we really did not, right? The only thing we had in common was where we lived, right? Our neighborhood, the people we knew, right? Because really our values didn't align. We really didn't see the world the way they do. That's why it was so easy for them to harm us, for them to put hands and feet or whatever it may be on us, right? Because a lot of us, we're attacked and we don't pass away. And we're lucky for that. But there's some people who don't. They're not lucky enough to make it home, right? They get in a fight like this and they never make it back to their house. So even though I understand what he's saying, that I think, sometimes people who feel insignificant around certain people, they do gain a lot internally, right? Like they start to feel better by associating with people who can lift them up, who are doing better than them. But sometimes those people think they want to be around them. But they realize the pressure of being around somebody that's successful is a lot for them, right? They don't like seeing that person doing well all the time, waking up and meeting all of their responsibilities, right? Accomplishing things. It can be scary having somebody around you who really doesn't want to see you be successful, but they pretend they do. Can y'all time out some of these weirdos? Like, I don't know why y'all come here, right? Because if you don't like me and you don't like my comment, why are you here? I wish you guys would find traffic to play in. I really wish you would, because otherwise you don't even come here to criticize what I'm saying legitimately, right? Because I take critique. If you feel like what I'm saying is, too one-sided, maybe it's overestimating the amount of violence in the community. I don't think it is. I think actually a lot of us underestimate. And I'm gonna play a video by Black Untold Girl, I believe. I forget the exact name. I'm gonna put it in the description afterwards. But there's a lot of Black people who are trying to change the current. They're trying to do journalism that actually focuses on all the issues we have, which there's a lot of them in the community. And I think that we are more attuned to say, hey, we got to lift each other up, and we will allow people like this who are slimy, who might backdoor us, right? Term I recently learned, but who will harm us in this way and not blink, not even flinch, right? We thought we were so connected to these people, but they would throw us under the bus at the first opportunity, right? So, yeah, he's never really going to get to that. He's just going to keep windmilling and twerking and attacking people. I feel like that's a threat, and you shouldn't say that in my chat. Can somebody time out Jeremiah? Pookie is annoying. And Sam too, this loser, please. Actually, I can do it from here. You'll be past the stratosphere. Don't hang around people that prey on innocent children. Yeah, honestly, a lot of that stuff is hard, right? Because really being a pedo is the mentality, right? Thinking about things like that. So I think it's hard because people say, well, you can't prove it. But I don't trust someone who thinks things like that. I think I've struggled with this one because I feel like, okay, you said some fucked up stuff, but how many fucked up things that people said? But then I keep thinking about it, and I just get a nagging feeling about somebody who would make a joke like that, because I've never heard any men or males around me make jokes like that. So it's difficult, but again, you're describing modern women form Flora Dark Lake revived. Somebody want to time out that account too. When you are a loser, the one thing I don't have to worry about is having any haters. I'm hater free. Hey, if that's what you do, you buddy, do you buddy. I'm not gonna stop you. Yeah, they stalk you. They watch everything you do. They record everything you do. I mean, the quickness with which this bandit not only took my phone number, but showed me that he looked it up. Right? Showed me the city I'm living in. Pure stalker. It was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced, but try me, bandit. Please do. Please do. Okay, I think these people low-key like you, but they do not want to upset their Lord and Commander Friday by being open about their admiration. Yeah, it's really creepy though. Yeah, it's so funny because he didn't even just tell me it was my number. Literally showed me that he ran my number and pulled up the city. It was very, very creepy. Very creepy. Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't joke about that stuff at all. These dudes are weirdos. Who did that? Team Obesity. So yeah, for me, it's kind of too far gone. The Dusties have gone all the way to hell and found my real identity. So it is what it is. I'm a law-abiding citizen. So here's a funny story. The other day I was on Things to Chat when he did clubs, and I was on a big fan of you, but in the chat I was just telling the truth, no name calling. From now on, every time they will say that we have something wrong, we're all gonna say we was just joking. What are you talking about? Yeah, because I think the extreme environments are, people don't want to be there, right? Even though sometimes you'll find, groups of bandits huddling there. I think for the most part, people don't really want to be in those types of environments. So, all right, let's watch a little bit more of this video and then we'll move on.
And this is not always a bad thing. So if you have somebody who's very, very successful and they're building a team or an empire, it's very important for the people around that successful individual to be okay with that individual's success and also understand that they are going to gain significance as an extension of that person's success. So you can join that person. If you're on a team and there's a very successful individual on the team, you can relish that success and that significance and become a part of that if it's possible. So one, we can join them. The second thing we can do is we can appreciate who they are. We can appreciate the attention they're getting. We can appreciate whatever it is that makes them perceivably seem more significant than maybe we feel. We can appreciate it without having negative feelings towards them about it. And from that appreciation, it can drive us actually. It can inspire us or motivate us to become more significant in our own way. So we can use other people's significance as motivation or drive as far as appreciation, and we can congratulate them and appreciate what they've done, and that can drive us to become and do more. The third thing we can do is we can tear them down. Or as Tony Robbins says, we can tear their building down. And the tallest building would be that person who is more significant than you, or it would be you. If you're more significant to other people, it's a lot easier to tear you down and hate on you, negativity, talk bad about you, create some image or perception, badmouth you, throw dirt on your name. The ways to hate on somebody are endless, but that's what can take place because it's a lot easier to go that route than it is to build yourself up, than it is.
Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, my bad. But I was saying, I think it's so much easier to, like he was mentioning in the video, it's easier to, am I still muted, guys? Am I still muted? Let me know, y'all. I think I unmuted, so it should be unmuted by now, but I still see y'all saying mute. Am I still muted? Can you hear me? Let me know, please. Can y'all hear me? Okay, I'm good. All right, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure because it's quiet in here, so I have to be sure that my audio is still working. But yeah, I think he was specifically talking about that it's easier to attack somebody else or hate them because of what they accomplished than it is to build yourself up, right? I think people definitely have an issue with working on themselves, finding hobbies, creating new friend groups. A lot of adults talk about how difficult it is to, meet new friends. And so sometimes people will be around the same rotten group of people just because they don't want to make new friends, right? There's a lot kind of going on in that environment, especially with people choosing to either stand beside you because they see your significance and try to grow with you, or easily take the route of a hater. So that is it for that video. Let's continue though. Big Draws, I don't care at all. I just think it's funny that you come here and you try to hold me to a standard and complain about Fatty and what I do to him and what the world did to him and how he got the worst genetics. Oh wait, you didn't say that. But how he got the worst genetics ever. So I didn't see you mentioned something about looking at your comment before that. What did you say about him being team obesity? From now on, every time the Unfuckable say that yeah. Honestly, it's so funny because they went all the way over there and were trying to tell Sharon what he should and shouldn't be saying, but they didn't go underneath that video, that Fatty made where he specifically talked about people's family members and made videos and took pictures. They also didn't tell Fatty that he was a piece of shit for talking about my animal who had passed away, who, by the way, has more people mourning for him than that fat post-wall bandit will ever have. So yeah, every time we drag these bandits, it's all just a joke. Because I think it's very easy to say what you're doing and how you're treating people is a joke to justify your bad behavior, but then send all your little coronis and minions to come and yell at other people. And yes, they do find it difficult to go to the gym. So you know what's interesting, Pookie? Cognitive dissonance is such a hard term, I think, for the average person to understand, because it's easy to understand, hey, to think you understand what it means to really believe something and then find out a piece of information that goes against everything you believe, right? People are not made to question everything they see and are experiencing in life. That's not what a lot of people do, right? So I just think in general, that's just how people are. They're more attuned to follow whatever somebody's doing. They're more attuned to follow a herd than they are to stop and say, hey, where's this herd going? They'll follow the herd right off a cliff. And they do find it difficult to go to the gym. I mean, they don't walk. They don't even go anywhere. They don't work out. They got all that estrogen building up, I think men don't understand that they do need to stop eating foods with antibiotics as they get up in age, because those antibiotics are going to make it very difficult for you to heal, right? Because the chicken that you're eating is already, accustomed to whatever antibiotic that is out there already. They're already used to penicillin. So now you have a product in you that you ate that is resistant to antibiotics. That is doing damage to you. People don't know the damage that antibiotics in food and in animals that they put in them does to our bodies, but they do big damage. There's hormones in the food that is not supposed to be there, right? You're seeing boys developing all types of weird things that they're not accustomed to, and it has a lot to do with their food, right? You're seeing 12-year-old children weighing 270 pounds. Then you go to their house and you see that the family's fridge is full of freezer food. Children aren't supposed to eat those things. Yeah, you can have certain things little, but your kids at that age are not supposed to be eating hormone-filled microwave sandwiches, right? They're not supposed to be eating 10 waffles with syrup that's drenched in it. Like, they're not supposed to be eating those types of things. Yes, it's cute. You see it on TV and it seems like so cute to eat like that. But I think men just don't get what too much fat and sugar does to your body, man or woman. So look at Dark Lake Keisha seeing if his little dusty chat works. Somebody time him out before he starts twerking again. But it's not difficult to disagree with Ali. So you saying that means nothing. You still come in here and defend them. So I'm currently, it's a big thing. And I think people don't know what cognitive dissonance is. So even though I can explain it to you as, hey, what you believe is really not what it is, right? Let's say you're a pro-quack and you believe that all Black people are going to unite and we just love each other and we're all family and every Black person you see is your brother and sister. That can be damaging. That can put you in a lot of dangerous situations. Because just because somebody's your same color does not mean they're the more safe person to be around, right? We already know that has already debunked that most of the times you're going to be getting harmed, or not debunked, but that has already proved that most of the times you're going to be getting harmed by the people you're around. And even though we're post-segregation, the country's still very segregated. So 9 times out of 10, the people who are most dangerous to you are going to look just like you. Black, white, Asian. And it just is what it is. So I think a lot of times people struggle with their beliefs, and obviously, pro-quacks make it very difficult for people to have realistic conversations because they keep deferring to some force outside that's just going to save all the Blacks. So very difficult. Homemade food is always best if you can manage it. Yeah, because you know what you're putting in the food to make it. A lot of those foods have preservatives and other chemicals in them so that they can last longer. I mean, if you guys ever saw the movie Super Size Me, right? If you've seen it, he shows the fries. The fries never break down. They literally stay in the form of a French fry. When I've made French fries at home, like cut up a potato and seasoned it and made French fries, that's not going to live forever. That potato, in a day or two, if I leave it outside, it's going to be done. It didn't mold. It didn't change colors. Nothing. Stayed looking exactly the same. That is scary. right? So even though I'm making fun of fat dudes, if all you're eating is junk like that, it's no wonder you're so emotional. So let's get into a little bit of Thomas Sowell. So I found some of his videos, and I might not know exactly all of his history, but I do know he has made quite a few, not only viral but very, very powerful videos about culture, and specifically he talks about subcultures, and he calls Black culture, specifically the toxic and violent one, a subculture in America. And he talks about how it doesn't affect sorry guys, it doesn't affect Blacks in other countries as much. So let's look a little bit at that. And again, feel free to agree with me on this one. I do think people kind of think that as Black people, we all have the same global experience. And although it's not that different, there are some variances in what we've experienced. And I know that because I know people who are Black who grew up in other countries, and specifically in Europe and other places, and they do describe their experiences as being a little different. So this is not to say that, racism, it doesn't exist in certain places. This is just to illustrate that he talks about it from a subculture perspective as an American issue. So let me share my screen. And I shared that picture of him when he was young because, obviously he's been talking about subjects like these for a while. I know he's cool. He's definitely one that I haven't seen that much of. So I was pleasantly surprised by what he saw. So most fat people are miserable because they're unhappy with, they look at the mirror and they don't like what they see. And a lot of times, fat or not, you got to love yourself. And some of the most insecure people are beautiful, right? From the outside, you'll look at them and see a gorgeous person or a very healthy looking man, very fit, right? That's a term used in the UK to describe a good looking person, very fit. But they're unhappy, they're miserable. And I think a lot of the times the misery comes from within. People got to learn to love their situation. You'll see beautiful people comparing themselves to even more beautiful people. And in that case, you're never going to be enough. There's always going to be somebody more attractive than you. So, yeah, for sure. I have a few of his books. Yeah, honestly, after watching a lot of this today, when I was putting this together, I'm considering, finding some of his books. So, different perspective though, definitely. But I think he pulls from the sociological theories for some of his perspectives, because this idea of a subculture is not new, right? Albert Cohen, who was one of the major sociologists, he studied a lot of this. And you guys will be surprised. I took a whole class on gangs. They got that lingo down. That's why you see a lot of these cringy videos of, certain people, certain cops or whatever saying certain things about neighborhoods. Oh yeah, I be on the block, and trying to sound cool, because they really learned this as a way of fighting criminal justice. They learned these gangs and their lingo, right? That's how deeply studied subcultures are. So let's continue.
In which they grew up with was not the culture in which Black kids grew up in America today.
So there's
no gangster rap that was pervasively available in Germany. I mean, the average of Black kid today, I think, is probably better off, certainly materially, than say Ben Carson was when he was growing up.
Ben Carson, the famous
Black
surgeon at Johns Hopkins.
Right.
Who is immensely accomplished in every way.
Yes.
Right.
I would say that certainly the Black kids who are growing up today have a higher material standard of living than I had. The difference.
Thank you guys for the cash apps. I just wanted to acknowledge those really quickly because I didn't see them coming in. Sin7 sent one earlier. She said, sorry about my cat. I appreciate that. And they are hard to get over, but being here, talking to you guys and kind of getting into content, that is helping. So I appreciate your donation from earlier today. And Josh Watson, thank you so much for, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to read your whole name. I will do better. Not going to read whole names, but thank you for the Cash App. Again, I don't know if I said Super Chat before, but I greatly appreciate it, guys. Putting this content together, sitting here talking to you guys is a lot of fun, but when you guys donate, it really does help me do this for more often than I generally can. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, let me see here. You know, Royce, the problem with this though is that I just feel like never mind. One thing I will say with him, though, I don't think that we're more accustomed to material things, but I do think we value material things differently. So, you know, even though I agree with most of what he said here, I will say that I don't think we necessarily have access to material things more so, but I think that we value them more. So you will see kids, you know, Black kids in America wearing more expensive shoes and the fashion and being very well put together fashion wise and having that look, that being a very big part of how they present. So I'll agree with him on that, but I don't think that it's necessarily having more access.
The difference was that the schools were good when I came along. They were especially good in New York at that time, hard as that is to believe. But the kids who grew up in that same place where I lived, they will not get that same education. Now that can be blamed on somebody, but it has very little to do with what happened 100 or 200 years ago. And it's true in other countries. I mean, in Nigeria, for example, there's a tribe, the Igbos, who are living in one of the least fertile parts of Nigeria, who were in fact enslaved in centuries past by other tribes and so on. When the British moved in and set up schools, the Igbos went for the schools. By the time Nigeria became independent, the Igbos had climbed above the other groups that had been ahead of them to begin with. So, but there are all kinds of cross currents of factors. The particular culture or the particular geography, you run through the whole list of them.
You cite in Intellectuals and Race, you cite an observation by the intelligence expert, IQ scientist, James Flynn, that just stopped me cold. After the Second World War, you've got large numbers of American troops remaining in Germany. For that matter, there's still several tens of thousands there today. And both Black and white American soldiers had children with German women. And Flynn discovered that those children growing up in Germany showed no IQ differences at all. The Black kids and the white kids, the same. Quoting Intellectuals and Race, Professor Flynn concluded that the reason was that the offspring of Black soldiers in Germany, and now you're quoting Professor Flynn, grew up in a nation with no Black subculture, close quote. Which means what? Which means they experienced exactly the same expectations. Is this
No. The expectations are external. The culture in which they grew up was not the culture in which Black kids grew up in America today.
So they had.
There's no gangster rap that was pervasively available in Germany.
So here's what I'm getting. There is something about Black subculture in America today that holds African Americans themselves back?
Yes. In fact, I went into this in a previous book on which about Black rednecks and white liberals, because that same subculture.
Let's talk about two of your books here. Go ahead.
Because that very same subculture held whites in the South back as well. That in the time this mental testing in the First World War turned up, among other things, the fact that whites from various 4 or 5 southern states scored lower on the mental test than Blacks from 4 or 5 northern states. And so it really was a question of the subculture that was there, which was a handicap to both.
All right. And so.
And, you know, I think the culture that he's making reference to there is, you know, some of those Irish and different communities that came over here. And they did have a lot of gang violence, right? Because people think gangs are specific to certain groups. No. They had a lot of gang violence. They had a lot of internal criminality amongst each other. And they still do in a lot of white communities. But it was more prominent and widespread in those groups back in the day. And they realized that they did have to cut a lot of that out in order for them to continue and for them to thrive as communities. So I think, he's making a really great point there. We had many great communities, and we abandoned them, like Black Wall Street, due to integration. Black Wall Street was not abandoned; it was bombed. So, I think the important thing when we're having these conversations, yes, hold people accountable. Yes, don't blame the white man, but we also have to be historically accurate. And Black Wall Street was bombed, like many, many successful cities like that in the past. And we can critique however they handled certain things, but I think we're not going to ignore the very real and nefarious threat that existed for successful Black people in that time. I mean, we're talking about testing better IQ wise in school. People talk about integration as being this great thing, but they don't talk about the fact that Black kids perform better when their teachers look like them. Right now, suddenly that all of our teachers are white, or most of the teachers are white, right, for the most part. Now suddenly we're performing the worst, and we're even presently are performing very poorly. It's not ironic, but I think so many things were happening, and I think we lost our way. But then we lost our way, and we still didn't want to take responsibility. I think that's why kind of we're at where we're at right now, right? When a lot of the crime and the degeneracy was happening in the community, people made excuses for it. They acted like, oh, well, because there's poverty, or because the white man did this, then it's okay for us as a culture to sell drugs to our own community and watch it be destroyed, right? It's okay for us to have wars and do all these terrible things to our own people because, the white man made us do it, right? The white man put us in the hood. The white man, the white man, the white man. I mean, I've never seen so many people focus on the white man. When we're living in a time, for the most part, most of us can do whatever we want to do. I mean, I have so many independent ways of making money that I don't even understand how somebody can be broke in 2024. Legitimate ways. I don't do anything criminal. So I really don't understand a lot of it, right? And I think barely. I think you would have to show me a lot of evidence to show that it was built up in the way that it was actually built prior to it being bombed, for me to actually say, hey, it's okay that happened. Because I think it's easy to tell people, oh, just rebuild and we can have what we have. But I think the fear that was instilled with that issue, that took a bigger toll, right? Because a lot of people felt defeated. Right, we went through racism, all these other things, and now we finally get free, and now we can't even do well without people wanting to harm us. Yeah, and I mean, we're talking here about it didn't get called Black Wall Street until after it was rebuilt. But I mean, even if it wasn't necessarily called that, those businesses were operating from a Black mindset, right? All the people there were the ones who owned it. The people who started a lot of these businesses were Black. So maybe we didn't call it necessarily Black Wall Street, but what it was in essence was, Black people building their own little Wall Street. So even then, the history is so murky, the way they documented everything, right? The way that a lot of what was going on wasn't necessarily handled with the right hands of justice, right? They would have been handled very differently today. So let's see. My issue with Black Wall Street is how it's held up as an example of Black capitalism, but the hood wasn't that far from Black Wall Street. The hood is very far from Black Wall Street, though, because here's what we got to understand about the hood, right? When we talk about the hood, we can't just talk about what we're looking at today. Because back in the day, Black people who had money and who didn't have money, they still lived amongst each other. And it's not like they were harming each other. But when when integration happened and things started moving around and we were kind of, Great Migration happened, a lot of us moved from where we lived in the country to the north because we thought it would be safer here. A lot of things kind of impacted what Black Wall Street even was. Like, I just think it's so hard to come today. And that's why I think it's better that people don't even use it for any examples unless they study it. It's hard to look at things today and try to compare Black Wall Street and what was going on at that time to today, right? Because I do think, we're talking about a time where any Black person who did anything successful was being targeted, right? So I think there was a lot of nuance going on in terms of how people moved, what they called themselves, how they showed up in the community out of fear, right? That's my biggest issue with Black Wall Street, is how much fear it instilled in people, right? How helpless people probably began to feel after understanding that they could be attacked in that way, and the police and a lot of state people would sanction what's happening to them. So I do think we're very, very far past Black Wall Street. So I don't know why they bring it up, right? We're not anywhere near there. I don't even think we could get there unless we significantly change the culture and the environment that we currently have in the community. But I think it's the only thing that people can think of. So of course they're going to Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street. That's the only thing that people can think of. There's so little being built amongst us that's the only thing we can defer to, something from so long ago. So let me see. You're mistaken. It was rebuilt much bigger and became Black Wall Street. So then what are we talking about? Because at the end of the day, the Tulsa bombing, that still created a lot of issues, right? So are we talking about Rosewood? Are we talking about Tulsa? People, when they reference Black Wall Street, they're talking about a number of very successful Black hubs. It wasn't just one. So I find it difficult because, again, I think there's a lot of historical inaccuracies with how people understand what Black Wall Street was and what people called it. There was Rosewood. Wasn't that California? There was so many different places, I think, that were identified as being Black Wall Streets, that when you have so little to pull from as what we built. Yeah, this is what I'm saying, Big Pookie. I think somebody, and I know Taz has done the history, right? But a lot of these people don't even want to listen to him because they don't like how he drags bandits. But, DB, I think a lot of people get their information from, random YouTubers like Anton Daniels and shit. So it's difficult having these conversations. There's a lot of historical inaccuracies out there. I think people... yeah, exactly. This is a great question, though, Sugar Bomb. Even though people might look at this as you're trolling, genuinely, people cannot point to what is being built today. They gotta reach back to, they gotta reach back to Tulsa. They gotta reach back to other places that other people built, because nothing is being built today at all. But prison sentences, Lord have mercy. Yeah, that's the hard part, though, Tequila, because he really does the content, and he's the one person a lot of people don't like to watch because they don't like his attitude. They don't like that he doesn't bash women and yada, yada, yada. He actually is a very historically accurate person when he speaks about a lot of these things. So even though I try my best to give out the best information, the reason why this subject is not about Black Wall Street is because I wouldn't just throw that into any video. I would actually do the research and put together something fact-based, because I know even what I know off the top of my head is tainted from what I've heard and from what I've seen in certain environments. So I suggest y'all go to the people who do the content and actually support the ones who do the content, and not just talk about this with bandits all day, right? Support the people who actually put in the work, who actually try to teach something, whether you guys think we come here for teaching or not. People are allergic to learning. Yeah, and he used to have a bigger history channel, but I know there was a lot of different things that impacted him, which a lot of it had to do with these bandits on YouTube. But I wish more people paid attention to that stuff. Yeah, there's a couple of great documentaries on it. The men are mine. They can't build a fence to save their lives. Right. They also can't, fix anything in the home, right? You got to call somebody even to change a tire, most of these bandits. So bigger white banks use black banks' savings to give out loans to whites. Oh, boy, that's crazy. They're using the passive control. That's why communities are garbage. We hold on to false history. That is so hilarious coming from some of y'all. People who's a part of Black Wall Street. Yeah, but like I mentioned, Black Wall Street wasn't just. I think a lot of people, when they reference Black Wall Street, they don't understand that they're talking about a number of successful Black communities in the U.S. A number of them, and a lot of them did deal with violence from, the greater culture and society. So, I think we maybe got to sit down and actually do a full breakdown, or maybe review Taz's video. I gotta go find it on the Untold American History channel, because a lot of y'all be sounding confused, and I myself too. I don't have the capacity to remember all of the history. I try my best, but one thing I'm not going to do is get on YouTube and have a conversation about history that I've never studied or I'm not well read on. So Africa longs for the pyramids. We long for Tulsa. Okay.
Whose job is it to say, wrong subculture, folks, you're harming yourselves?
Well, I would think in an ideal world that intellectuals might take on that task, but the world that we live in, I've noticed, is not ideal.
All right. What is to be done? Take a look at President Lyndon Johnson speaking at Howard University in 1965.
Oh, yes.
But freedom is not enough. You do not wipe away the scars of centuries by saying now, you are free to go where you want and do as you desire and choose the leaders you please. You do not take a person who for years has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bringing up to the starting line of a race, and then say, you are free to compete with all the others, and still justly believe that you have been completely fair.
Oops, I thought I X'd out by an accident. But it's so interesting because, to that point, right, I think that's a big argument that a lot of people use. They say, well, how can you think just freedom in general is going to make people free? But I think it's more than just freedom, right? People have to make conscious choices to do better, right? And I think before you can make any real conscious choices, you have to take accountability and responsibility for whatever destruction you're causing, whether it's warranted or not, right? Whether you have a real reason for being angry and for stealing or not, right? I think that's the issue. We've allowed ourselves to support and even agree with and even turn a blind eye to a lot of degeneracy out of, oh, well, the white man harmed us, or this country owes us, or this country harms us, and so that means we can do anything, right? And I think that might be why he brought up that argument. But obviously, Mr. Thomas Sowell is actually a little bit quick-witted with his answer. So let's continue.
Pathetic. It's not a question of, there's no you who has the control to be completely fair or completely unfair. I mean, the circumstances are. So someone once criticized the mental test on grounds that the tests were unfair, and I think it was David Reisman who said the tests are not unfair. Life is unfair, and the tests are measuring the results. But who has control of life? Who has control of the past? Who has control of the culture that people have in the present, which they've inherited from the past?
So Lyndon Johnson, he's in fact, although good liberal that he was, at least in regard, Lyndon Johnson had a complicated career and changed positions on issues many times. But good liberal though he was at that moment, he was in fact engaging in a breathtaking arrogance.
Yes.
On two counts. One, that white people were the ones who were responsible for where black people stood in the race, that it was up to whites entirely. That blacks, as he described, I'm
devastating.
Black people are passive; they're acted upon.
That's right. That's right.
And then the second act of arrogance is the supposition that somehow the federal government could fix it.
Yes, it is staggering. But if you wanted to be charitable, you could say, well, he said this in 1965.
And here's again my thing, right? As much as I agree that yes, the government isn't going to be able to fix all our problems, it's not going to be able to do everything for us, but at least pay the folks, right? Give niggas that 40 acre and a mule, right? I get telling us, let go of the victim mentality. I get encouraging people to do better amongst themselves. But there's no way to bridge that financial gap that was created, from all that time of people building wealth and others not building their wealth. I think there needs to be some restitution, right? Pay the folks, right? You can tell us to get over it, but pay people, right? Do something to financially benefit the people who've suffered versus just telling them to get over it and the government can't help you and America can't help you. We used you for profit and didn't give you anything, right? But just get over it and no, we can't do anything about it. That's crazy. They haven't even said that to other groups in this country who've suffered, right? So as much as I agree, yes, don't be a victim, do better, teach people to do better, right? Actually change this culture of degeneracy, absolutely. But the fact that so many people are quick to just say there's nothing the government to do, yeah, you can. You could give people some money. Now, do I think we're focused enough to figure that out? No, I think a lot of us are on some divide and conquer BS. Right? A lot of us are very distracted. We're fighting gender wars. We're snatching wigs, right? A lot of these bandits are wig watchers and weave whacking bandits. So, I mean, we're kind of caught into things and we're not really paying attention, but the fact still stands. Right? I still think there is some money that needs to be paid, right? You guys want to tell people to get over it? Sure. But pay them. Pay them the money and then tell them to get over it. Just like you do other groups. You memorialize them, you offer financial restitution, and then people move on. And I think that's one thing that's really never happened, right? That's the one thing we can say. That's really the one thing that's never happened. And if we focus on that instead of talking about the white man controlling our brains and not letting us be men and not letting us live, we would actually have a better argument. But a lot of us will make these arguments and then go and sit there and laugh when somebody's getting jumped, right? Or hit a lick and rob somebody and make it unsafe for somebody who's, given to a community they live in, right? We make it unsafe for each other. Willing to fight because somebody looks at you wrong, right? Those are things that we need to be responsible for. White people can't fix that. But they can give some money. So I'm not going to let them all the way off the hook. But let's continue.
But if you say, all right, why are people now repeating it in 2013 when we've had nearly half a century of experience to the contrary? And if you look within the Black community, those Blacks who had escaped what I call the Black redneck culture, they've moved on. So, but it's the culture the different parts of the Black community had. They were different.
Daniel Patrick Moynihan, in his famous 1965 report entitled "The Negro Family: The Case for National Action," close quote. Longish quotation, but it gets to something, I believe. Moynihan: the fundamental problem is that of family structure. The Negro family in the urban ghettos is crumbling. A middle class has managed to save itself, but for vast numbers of the unskilled and poorly educated, the fabric of conventional social relationships has all but disintegrated. So long as this situation persists, the cycle of poverty and disadvantage will continue to repeat itself, close quote. When Moynihan wrote those words, the illegitimacy rate among African Americans was 25%. Today, the illegitimacy rate among white Americans is 36%, among Hispanics, more than 50%, and among African Americans, more than 70%.
Yes.
Aside from throwing up your hands in despair, what is to be done?
The first thing to be done is to understand that this was a result of policies begun in the 1960s. This is not a legacy of what happened 100 years before the 1960s.
The breakdown of the Black family is not a legacy of slavery.
No, if you the classic study of this goes all the way back to the era of slavery, and they find that most black kids, even under slavery, had lived with two parents, and that was true all the way up until the 1960s. And so, if you really want to find out what has happened, what's changed, it has changed since the 1960s. And the fact that whites now have a higher rate of illegitimacy than blacks had when Moynihan wrote suggests that this is something that spreads out. But if you look at something else, if you look at those blacks, look at black husband-wife families, the poverty rate among such families has been in single digits every year since 1994. And so if you look at the external causes, why the husband and wife families and the welfare single mom families all are facing the same society and objective things, but the results are radically different because the cultures and values are different.
So you would roll back welfare. I guess that's the principal policy. So what would Tom Sowell do? One, you'd eliminate welfare, you'd reform welfare. What would you do?
Roll it back.
All right.
So now I chose this video specifically because I saw a little dust. Right? So now even though he was, yeah, exactly. Now even though he was he wasn't okay. Here's what I want to say, right? I think that his heart wasn't in the wrong place. But I think that he doesn't understand that doing that would not motivate these men to behave properly, right? I think when you're dealing with men who are willing to walk out on their families, right? Because we're not talking about women who are largely keeping their children from the fathers, right? I think for the most part, I see a lot of women going out of their way to try and foster a relationship. I do see a good amount who do also are toxic and want to use the child as leverage. So I'm not going to act like those people don't exist. But I would say that Black women are very conscious of this issue of children being born out of wedlock. So it's a little... I'm a little thrown off by what he's saying. I'm not going to lie. Because that would then leave Black women and children, right? Because he's implying welfare is something that particularly benefits Black people a lot, which it does. It benefits Black people. But the main utilizers of welfare are not Black. So now you're going to suggest that we roll back something that is protecting a good majority of people in this country, and specifically protecting women and children. I mean, these bandits' talking points are not new. This video had to be in the 90s. I forget exactly if it mentions, but this video is very old, right? He's obviously reposting things to get flack and things out, not flack, but to get the word out there. But this is an old video, so this is not new. Excuse me. This idea of rolling back welfare is not a new one, right? I think a lot of bandits and people that are in these type of spaces in general, they're very unaware of reality, I would say. So they think that their beliefs and their things that they know or they found out from YouTube is actually accurate and real. And so they think they're original and they're the first ones to have said it. But they don't realize that they're just regurgitating something someone else said, and that person was regurgitating something that somebody before that regurgitated. So we're just getting a cycle of regurgitated, unexplained, because these guys don't have reading comprehension either. So it's just things that they're having to try and figure out for themselves that they're just not smart enough to do. So, if we're gonna be real here, I definitely think his talking point in this was coming from the right place, but it fell short and it became dusty when he said roll back programs that are literally keeping women and children alive, because these men don't care. So let's continue.
And what about affirmative action?
Eliminate it.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Colorblind
Yeah.
policy completely. All right. What prospect for that do you see?
None.
No
At
black,
present.
no black leader of any standing. I'm talking about a political leader as opposed to an intellectual such as
Right.
yourself. You've got, well, there's you, there's Walter Williams. Do you get the sense that there's a growing generation, a rising generation of African-American intellectuals who say, enough of this, I'm with Tom Sowell?
Well, I don't know if they'll go that far. There's no point.
That would be asking a lot.
There's no point being reckless. But I think there are people like Shelby Steele and many others, Larry Elder. You can run through a long list, and there are more such people now than there were, say, in the 1970s. But in terms of political leaders, all the incentives politically are for black leaders to blame all problems in the black community on the larger society. And that enables them to take on the role of being the defender of the black community against enemies, which in turn creates the situation in which many blacks don't feel that anything that they do is going to help themselves unless.
And this is what we call in psychology learned helplessness, right? This is where there's nothing you can be told, right? In your mind, you just believe you have no control over your circumstances. You don't exercise any control over your circumstances. You actually treat life as if it's happening to you and not a product of your choices. So, what he's saying, again, was a little dusty to say, let's get rid of all the welfare and things that helps a lot of people and actually keeps a lot of women and children alive. I think that's very dusty. But I think he's not coming from necessarily a nefarious perspective. He's coming from understanding what's going on around us. And I think even he was more legitimate to say this at that time than somebody saying that today. So what do you mean by culture choice? A lot of these men don't comprehend well and use certain points to make their whole argument. A lot of men's fair dues always reference the Moynihan report to try and blame black women until it was broken down. And it's funny, this is why a lot of people love Cynthia, because she actually took the time to break this down. Now, does that mean that everyone who read the Moynihan report didn't understand what it was saying? No, but I do think some people needed it to be broken down to understand what it was really saying. Because a lot of bandits will get this material, they'll find one sentence that agrees with what they say, and they'll run to hell with it. To hell. And they'll act like that article or whatever it is proves their point. But if you just read 3 or 4 more sentences, you actually see that it's saying the complete opposite of what they're saying. And that's where reading comprehension comes in. That's where context clues are lost, right? This is where cherry picking becomes the death of your argument, right? Because if you just kept reading, you would see that actually the paper was making the opposite argument. And I've been in conversations with a lot of bandits who they are giving me a talking point that is actually used to prove the opposite. And I'm just like, wow, you didn't even finish reading the paragraph. You just saw what you liked and you took it and you ran with it. And so many people do that, but I think that's why it's important to take the time to learn things, right? Actually read. If somebody's telling you, oh, such and such data is this and that, okay, accept it and then read it yourself. Does it hurt? Because then otherwise you're just reading it and you find out, oh, okay, so actually this does have a legitimate reason for proving it, right? It does have a legitimate way of proving what was being said. Okay, got it. But a lot of people don't even want to question or challenge the things they're hearing, and so that's how you end up in a cycle of learned helplessness, right? Of thinking there's nothing you can do. You can't change your circumstances. You are not the leader of your own future. You don't create your own destiny. Destiny finds you and makes you choose things you don't want to choose. You see how easily you can. What the heck? That sounded like my cat jumped on it. I think it was just, the house shifting or whatever. But, it's literally just, it's sad that these guys will literally not read what they're saying, but they'll run with it to prove a point. So Was it a time when was a time when getting our prison was more celebrated than graduating college? Think white is better than black, and we abandoned a lot of black businesses during integration. I think the problem is that people were dealing with violence and criminality, and so they did begin to associate that with black because a lot of times the people that were doing it were black, and that's not necessarily fair to associate all black people with thievery or whatever it is you did just because every time it happened to you, it was a black person. But can you blame them? I mean, a lot of people were tired of being in communities where they had to worry about being robbed and their items being robbed and their children not being safe to play outside. I mean, there was a point where people were, when children were dying from stray bullets. Right? I mean, how are you not going to abandon a place where that's happening, whether integration caused it or not? How are you not going to abandon a place where your child has the ability to possibly be dead in the street just because they were riding by the wrong place? You know, so as we've seen, every affirmative action was removed, and all minorities saw their college enrollment numbers go down. You know what's funny about that, though? Easy Money Jones, is that the main beneficiaries of affirmative action were white women. So now, I don't know what removing that is going to do, how that's going to change things. At the end of the day, black kids are not going to stop performing. I think if anything, it'll make college more competitive. But I don't know what's going to be the impact of getting rid of some of these things, because black excellence is still a thing. And I think the studies kind of show that a lot of those programs and actions were not very beneficial. The black people who did get in based on those types of procedures were not doing much, right? Not all of them. No, I'm not going to say all of them weren't doing anything, but it was proven that a lot of them weren't. So it's difficult, you know, you have one that's benefiting the wrong race too much just because of their gender. Right, but when you have a civil rights movement that started about race, and then if you look at the first civil rights act that they tried to pass, and then one that turned into all these other things, you start to realize that when these concessions were made, even though they did benefit black people, all the other concessions took away from what we would benefit from. Right now, if things were supposed to be given to people on the basis that their race suffered, and now it includes gender and all these other things, now you have people who aren't even black who benefit from it. Right, so it's just a tricky thing, and a lot of it has to do with advocacy and really understanding what people are signing up for when they accept certain things, when they vote in certain parties just because they think they're the better party, right? It's really difficult. I think people have to put a little bit more effort into understanding this aspect for black people specifically, because we should only be voting people in who are doing things in our interest, and we should be holding them to that. I think none of that is happening. People are just voting blue just because. Some people are just voting red just because, and that's not helping us either. Yeah. But what's annoying is that when you say we should roll back welfare, you almost have to say specifically just to blacks, because you can't say that to every other group. The ones who benefit significantly the most are not going to ever roll that back. So when I hear black men or certain other groups of men saying things like that, I'm just like, you do realize we're not even the main ones who use it. They are never getting rid of any welfare programs. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. Y'all can keep swinging. You can keep crying about child support and any of the other things that you guys cry about every day. But that's not happening. It's just not. It's not. If we were the main ones benefiting from it, it would not be here. Okay? It would be gone. It would be gone already. So I don't know why people sometimes think that, you know, welfare is just us and they want to get rid of it because we're the ones abusing it. Okay. All right. I'm not saying there isn't some of us abusing it, but all right. Together and move forward towards a good straight life. The issues welfare should not be a lifetime benefit. It was supposed to be for when you have a rough patch. It is. I mean, when people don't have children, a lot of the times they lose those benefits. right? So if they had children and those kids go to college or go wherever, they lose those benefits. I hope you guys know that. There's requalification processes that happen every year for every person who receives any type of home assistance or any of that. So, and they do give lifetime Section 8 vouchers to people who need it, because a lot of those people wouldn't become home buyers. Now, they are actually starting to create more first-time home buyer programs and more lenient restrictions for those people to buy homes. But I mean, we're talking about people who would have never gotten an apartment or a home of their own. So, I mean, you place people in poverty and you really make it super difficult for them to evolve. I mean, I'm talking about people who have a bunch of kids, but if they work, most of their benefits are cut. Now, do I think it's right for people to not work because their benefits are going to be cut? No. But now, if we're talking about a struggling parent who's taking care of everything on their own, I'm not going to criticize her the same way. I also notice how nobody's telling these men to get married and do the right thing and take care of families. And we can tell women what to do all day. We can tell Black people what to do all day. But if we're not encouraging people to build families, it really doesn't matter. So let's listen to some more of Mr. Sowell, and then we'll continue and see how much more we can get through. But I honestly feel like I might have to do a part 2 because there's so much I want to get into, and I still haven't even got into the stories of Mahogany and SHANQUELLA. So actually, I think I'm going to skip over to, let me get out of this because he said enough. But I'm going to bring this back up. And so, you know, I wanted to do a quick review of subcultures, but I think at this point, you guys kind of understand what a subculture is. Subculture is a culture within a culture. And what we're displaying here is a good example of cultures, right? Rap being one of them, but there's also all these other ones. Now, whatever reputations they have, they might not have the same weight as, for example, rap culture, or skateboarding culture might not have as big impact as hippie culture, right? So I think, you know, keeping it kind of simple there, we can kind of address that and then move on to the next one. So I wanted to get a little bit into the stories that, you know, made me feel like this was an important discussion. And I think maybe a conversation about friends and who's really your friend is warranted too, right? Because I think some of these situations also had a lot to do with being surrounded by people who just really don't have any well wishes for you. And sometimes that's hard to believe and see from people when they're displaying signs of that. So I think, you know, one aspect of this is knowing who's your friend and who's your enemy. But I think their situations in general are tragic enough that they warrant us revisiting, and they warrant us addressing this culture of people hating each other and hating what other people have. So let's play the video. Give me 1 second. And now I don't know how much of this video is going to get into SHANQUELLA and what she had accomplished in her short time on this earth, but she was a business owner. During the pandemic, she took advantage of some funds that were given to people who were running businesses, and her hair business took off. It was kind of revealed at some point during this that she ended up paying financially for a lot of this trip that actually happened to be what ended her life. So let's get into her story, and then we will chat about it a little bit, and then we'll move on to Mahogany Jackson.
Painting, the kindness, the loving person that she was. That's all I got is our memories and this photo, my child.
Those memories.
These certain pictures make you cry.
These portraits.
It's good memories.
Are what SHANQUELLA Robinson's parents hold close to their heart.
She's on my mind the first thing I wake up in the morning. The first thought that's in my mind is her, Shanquella.
She was a beautiful person on the outside, and she was a very beautiful person in the inside. She just had a beautiful spirit.
Shanquella's life and legacy now shaped by her final moments. A brutal beating shared on social media, a vicious death while on vacation with friends.
The growing mysteries surrounding the death of an American tourist.
Just one day into that vacation, she turned up dead.
The FBI has now opened an investigation.
I'm raising awareness for Shanquella Robinson.
A horrifying story gripping the country. Cries for justice spreading online.
Shanquella needs justice.
And now Mexican authorities charging an unnamed U.S. citizen with murder, one of Shanquella's acquaintances. But still, the family left wondering what happened, who did it, and why.
The further mystery of this case is that the people that she was with when she died, they let leave Mexico.
I thank God for the 25 years that she were here with me, you know. But I hate to see my child leave here like that, you know. That was a terrible way for her to die.
What were her hopes and dreams? What were her plans for herself?
Well, she always said she wanted to have a successful business. Yeah. You know, that's all she pretty much talked about. And she could do anything. Yeah. Anything that she set her mind to do.
That drive fulfilling her other passion.
And, you know, it's really sad. You know, I think that is a true fear that people have today. There's been so many crimes that happened over Facebook Live and other social medias. I definitely think that, especially, you know, in the community, I think there's a publication of the violence, right? We had King Von, who really was a bandit. He documented a lot of the crimes that he committed. He used social media as a medium for his violent, you know, behavior in his community. You know, people claim he put his community on the map, but you know, I think it's a legitimate fear for parents, especially parents who don't have the ability to control where their kids grow up, or maybe they thought they were in a safe place, or they thought they were in a nice area, you know? So I think it's a really big fear that parents have, and it's a legitimate one. Just like the fear of sending your kids to these schools, where a lot of them are not really prepared to deal with the dangers that are appearing there today. So, yeah, I do. That one was sick. And I really do think there's a lot more going on in the trafficking industry. I think that obviously the government and the news and all of that's never going to be honest about that stuff. But I did notice recently, and maybe in the last decade probably, that there is more Black people covering these stories. And they're actually doing a very detailed job of getting all the information out. So even though a lot of that wasn't happening during the Kenneka Jenkins situation, I do think that motivated a lot of us to want to tell our own stories. So I do remember it. You know, they found her in a freezer. Friends, I guess it was claimed that her friends, you know, thought she was drunk, and so they sat her somewhere and she wandered off. But it's really sad, you know, being around people who don't really care about you or your best interest. So let's continue.
Travel. Miami, Vegas, Jamaica. And in October, she was heading to San Jose del Cabo, Mexico, a seaside escape with 6 others.
She was very excited about it. She called me and I said, well, okay, enjoy yourself. And I'll call you by the time I think you've gotten there. That Friday evening, she seemed very excited about the trip, you know. And she said she was getting ready to eat some tacos. They had a chef there. And I said, okay, love you. I will talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. And I never spoke with my child again.
Not even 24 hours after her daughter landed in paradise, Salamandra says she got a worrying call from one of the friends who told her Shanquella wasn't feeling well.
And I said, well, what's wrong with her? And he said, alcohol poisoning. I didn't know what alcohol poisoning was, you know. But he said, the doctor is on the way. And I said, well, how you know alcohol poisoning if the doctor haven't arrived yet?
According to the police report, the doctor recommended that Shanquella be taken to the hospital, but the friends allegedly refused.
And I said, well, why you can't take her to the hospital? Take her to the hospital. And he said, well, they say you have to have cash money. I said, well, she has insurance. And he said, well, she need about $5,000 to be seen in the emergency room.
Soon after, another series of calls. Salamandra was told an ambulance had arrived, but it was too late.
They said that she was responsible in the ambulance.
And I don't know if they're gonna get too much into it in this video. But they talk about how, in the covers that I watched when this first happened, or when it was first being talked about, was that one of the guys was her friend, like a friend she grew up with that knew her family. And he sat in front of her family and lied to their face about what happened. And, I always wonder who that anonymous person was that called them, right? Somebody's conscience was heavy. Somebody knew what happened and was so disgusted that they spoke up. Right. And I think, we're slowly waking ourselves, but we're in a much more dire situation. These types of stories aren't stopping happening. They're still happening. Regardless of what occurred with Shanquella Robinson, there are still Black women, girls who are getting in situations, men who are getting in situations just like these. They're being set up. They're being harmed. And a lot of the times there isn't a real legitimate reason. It's just jealousy. It's just hatred. Right? It's competition. It's a way that people move in these environments where people are moving out of struggle, out of survival, right? Out of envy, whatever emotion they're not dealing with is being projected on the people around them. And for all intents and purposes, she didn't even think she had beef with these people. How do you not even know you have beef with these people and you end up dead around them? I mean, that's weird to me. For me to end up dead, I had to know we had to have had beef at one point. But I think a lot of the times, especially as Black women, we're gaslit about what's going on. People tell us, oh, we just playing. It ain't that big a deal. And they probably thought it was cool to hit her because just hit her, right? It's just fighting. In the video there, you can hear them saying, get up. You're not going to fight back. We take this stuff so lightly, but that's part of the issue. When we see no issue with beating the hell out of each other like that over nothing, over men a lot of the times, over whatever drama, then we're going to get into a situation where people are accidentally deleting each other because they want to beat the hell out of somebody because of their opinion or where they're going or how they looked at them. That's a big, real issue that we have.
Man was trying to necessitate her. He said he was sorry that Shanquella had passed.
He said it just like that.
Just like that. He wasn't even emotionally upset or nothing about it. And I say, well, it was nothing I could do. It's just my heart just crumbled, because I couldn't even get to my child. She 2,000 miles away.
Local Mexican authorities later releasing the police report stating the cause of death as cardiac arrest. Salamandra says days later, the friends returned to the States after their vacation. But as the family grieved, Salamandra says she received a disturbing call.
I got a call from somebody, I didn't even know who it was. And they said that they was over there fighting that girl. And that's the way they left it, just like that.
So someone just called you, said that, and then hung up?
And hung up. So they was over there fighting. I don't know why they keep talking about alcohol poison.
Salamandra telling us she confronted the friends about that call when they visited her at home in Charlotte, North Carolina.
They was crying and say they never had a fight. They even sit here and say they was picking out what they was wearing to the funeral. They sit down here and we was talking about what colors we was going to wear and what we was going to do. And they sit here and say, pick out what they was wearing to the funeral.
As Shanquella's family was making plans for her funeral, they received bombshell news contradicting everything they'd been told by the so-called friends and the police report.
When they called me and the autopsy came back, it all made sense.
According to the death certificate from Mexico, the 25-year-old died from a severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, a dislocated neck. There was no mention of alcohol or cardiac arrest, and the approximate time of death was at 3 p.m.
It'd be like that. There's also a few other shows going on too, so I understand, but it'd definitely be like that. As soon as we start talking about and advocating for what happens to Black women, yes, the numbers are going to drastically drop. People are actually going to exit. So it is what it is, but I'm still going to tell the story. Because again, they told this lady's mother to her mouth, to her face even, oh, she passed away from alcohol poisoning. How do you have a broken spine and dislocated piece of her spine? Because that's what the spinal not stuckus, it was something that started with a T, but that's what that means. You don't end up like that because you drank a bunch of alcohol. And obviously the video fills in the gaps there, right? We start to see what makes a difference. But these people lied right to her mom. They don't care nothing about her. What kind of friends are these? Right? How can somebody you associate with, you were just laughing, drinking, and eating with, how can somebody like that put hands on you to the point that you can pass away? And for all intents and purposes, this is a beautiful, friendly girl. We don't know, and there's no history of her being violent at all. I mean, she didn't even want to fight back. Right? Because I don't want to play a video, and I'm not going to, but she didn't even fight back. And you have people who will treat people like that the worst. They will harm them the most. And it was evil. Disgusting even. I know who'll be here for the real info. Trust me. Trust me. I know the bells and whistles. It only keeps the bandits around and the messy people around for so long. As soon as we start getting to advocating for Black women and girls, ooh, they're gone. Like the wind. But it is what it is. Definitely still hurts. And she paid for this trip for what she thought were friends. Yeah, she came out of pocket a lot. And like someone mentioned earlier, I think Big Draws mentioned, $5,000 was taken from her, right? She did end up being robbed at some point. But $5,000 was taken from her. So you guys not only deleted this lady's child, but you stole from her and you lied to their mothers. You were better off just disappearing, not even talking to her. So what was he trying to buy? An hour? And clearly somebody who knew what was going on couldn't even sit with that information themselves, right? Which is proof that a lot of us do understand what's going on. We do have a lot of empathy. But a lot of people aren't moving to change this culture or this behavior as a whole. So let's continue.
Just 15 minutes after the injuries.
What went through your mind when you heard that?
Oh, just couldn't believe it. We just got sick on the stomach.
Salamandra again says she confronted one of the friends who lived nearby.
They say Shanquella didn't die from no alcohol poisoning. They say she had been beating her neck. He broke out in a sweat, and he came out of his shirt. He was sweating so bad, it's like it was eating him up.
But soon, another punch in the gut. Graphic cell phone footage leaked online appearing to show Shanquella naked, physically assaulted by another woman, while others appeared to watch on, even encourage it.
Quilla, can you at least fight back?
All six of them had an opportunity to stop that situation. Neither one of them didn't do nothing about it. Who would give them the right to take a life? He didn't give her no kind of care, no help. I can just feel her suffering, man. The last breath she took out of her body.
It's hard, but I want the world to see it. I want everything to come out because I want justice for my child.
I pray for her family and I pray for justice.
That video sparking demands for answers.
I'm raising awareness for Shanquella Robinson.
Thousands of people across social media posting justice for Quilla and say her name, and hundreds attending her funeral in solidarity.
I just thought she would be burying me, not me burying her, man. When she came through the funeral home, I stood over, man, and I told her, baby girl, you would not die in vain. Daddy will get to the bottom of it, man.
But that bottom is often a deep pit. Prosecutors in Mexico are filing charges for femicide, a form of gender-based violence.
The reality is it's a homicide case. And it doesn't change what you investigate. It doesn't change what evidence you need to convict somebody.
Mexican authorities issued an arrest warrant 2 weeks ago for one of the friends. The prosecutor in Mexico speaking to local news.
Responsable de estos hechos a una amiga de ella, que es la agresora en este caso de la agresión directa, porque realmente no fue riña, es una agresión directa que realizó.
And it's crazy that Mexico has to step in and do what our government's supposed to do. But I mean, a lot of us don't even fight for each other ourselves, right? A lot of people check out of the conversation when we start talking about this advocacy for Black women, right? And actually fighting for justice for them when they go through this, no matter who the aggressor is, right? And Mexico actually determined this wasn't a fight because she didn't fight back. She was known as a peaceful woman. So you put your hands on as a filthy, dirty, stinky looking asshole. You put your hands on this woman, this innocent woman who wouldn't even fight you back. That's a direct attack. That's not a fight. You attacked her, and you have those lame ass people sitting there cheering on a big dirty hoe, right? Because there was a lot of rumors, people trying to say this was a trans. No, this was another woman. I've seen women hit each other like that, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And this girl, she woke the whole world up with what happened to her. And it's so sad that we had to learn her this way. But she shook all of us. Everyone who watched that video had a tingle go through their spine, because how do you do that to somebody who's not even willing to fight you back? I mean, this woman, clearly, she could have been intoxicated. Right? They could have got her really, really drunk and then try to act like this was a fair fight. Right? They clearly wanted to humiliate her. She was naked. This was a brutal, brutal attack. And you have people who don't even ever address this. They just talk about, oh, Black women lie, Black women this, Black women weaponize the police. It's really sad that Mexico had to step in because nobody even cares about situations like this. Right? We're lucky it went viral. We had to see her in that way, being harmed that way for this to even go viral. No, not at all. You can post it. Absolutely. Because any person, any journalist who's doing the work and they're actually out there, getting the information, trying to tell this girl's story, trying to bring more light to it, then I think absolutely share their stuff. I have no issues with sharing anything here. As long as you're not sharing a Bandit or a Naked channel in my chat, I'm great. Yeah, but we're talking about Blue. They don't care. They don't feel like they need to do anything for us. So what is Biden going to do? He don't feel like he got to do anything for Black people. A lot of Black people are going to get there and vote Blue either way. The best of two evils. Choose the right guy. Choose the best of two evils. A president who's been gone. I don't know where he's been the last 4 years. Jeez. Let me see. Yeah, definitely rest in peace to her. And I think her face and her innocence is etched in a lot of our minds. And she's always going to be there. But it's so sad that we had to see her in that way for us to know her. So, hey, Terrence. But let's continue. There's only a few minutes left in this video.
But officials aren't releasing any names, and no known arrests have been made. Investigators now seeking to extradite the person of interest to face charges in Mexico, which could take a long time.
The Mexican warrant is worthless here. No sworn officer or agent has the authority to arrest anybody on a warrant from another country. So it has to be vetted through probable cause and information that.
Hold on, I want to see when this video is from, because a year ago. So, yeah, not very much has changed. I know some articles are out there claiming that more has happened and that Mexico is working on things, but I haven't been able to find anything legitimate saying any updates have happened, any arrests or anything like that. So I know they did arrest somebody, but I don't know how far that went. I think they only were able to keep them for questioning. So
that the Mexican authorities provide to convert it to a U.S. warrant strictly for the purpose of arresting a person.
ABC News has reached out to the so-called friends who were reportedly in Mexico with Shanquella. They haven't responded to our request for comment. The FBI's Charlotte field office is also investigating the case.
What for you does justice look like for Shanquella?
For them to go back to Mexico and do their 20, 30, 40 years, whatever they give them. And they need to pay for what they did to her.
Next month, Shanquella would have been celebrating her 26th birthday. The holidays now especially tough for her family.
How do you want your daughter to be remembered?
As the person that she was loving, loved people, loved traveling. I hurt, but I also know that God don't make no mistakes. My heart gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt for a while. But I know God gonna give me strength to get through it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Sorry, just looking at people now who are, posting about dead pets, but somehow they were able to get get something on my page removed, but YouTube isn't going to make him remove talking about my dead animal. So again, like I said, you can report things on YouTube, but they're really not going to do nothing unless you're part of these big channels that you can go around and cry with and make them hurt you. So sorry, guys. I was just reading that because I realized that people are going to throw rocks and hide their hands. So it is what it is. People hate to see you succeed. And that's just that. But yeah, this case was very, very sad. Honestly, I think that the fact that we're still here and nothing has changed in this case, that America has pretty much washed their hands of it, is just a testament that enough of us aren't and weren't speaking about this. It just didn't happen. So it is what it is. But okay, let me move on to the next story because I do want to make sure we cover both of these cases, as tragic as they were. And I do want to give a trigger warning. Sorry, trigger warning that I was going to be that close to you. Sorry. No, the trigger warning is of the material. I do want to be real. The details of this story is very triggering, and it's very unfortunate what happened to her. So if you don't like to hear very graphic materials like this that happen to people, then I would suggest this is probably a good point to exit. I do like to give that disclaimer because I don't think that people are as conscious of how much violence we see and have been accustomed to over the last year. So I just want to give people a fair warning about that. So let me pull up the video about Mahogany. And I'm going to do both of the videos. I'm going to do the original video about the story, and then I'm going to do the case update because, again, this is a very new case. I don't know if I said that actually. Mahogany Jackson's case is very new. This happened this year, and I believe maybe 2 weeks, maybe for a little bit more than that. But it's a very recent case, so a lot of this information is still developing. People are still trying to sorry, my brain is scrambling. But people are still trying to figure out all the details of this case. Now, I don't think that, I think that I like to give my trigger warning, but I also want people to make sure that they understand what's actually going on out there too. But I do like to give trigger warnings because I know we've all gone through things in our lives and we're all at different stages of healing. And I would hate to not let you know that I'm about to present some material that has graphic descriptions of violence towards a woman. So I wanted to make sure I did make that disclaimer, but I appreciate you sticking here, even though a lot of this can be hard to stomach. So I've been wanting this one, but I need to know. These really mess with me. Yeah, I feel the same way. But, I do think that if we don't actually talk about these situations, then we're kind of doing a disservice as well. So even though it's hard and, the situations of this story are very disturbing, I do think that it's required of us to cover and talk about. So definitely appreciate that you guys are willing to stick through the material with me. So let me share my screen of this first video. And again, this is, let me look at the name properly to make sure. Black Girl Unlost. So this, woman, she obviously covers a lot of different cases of issues that are happening to Black women. So like I said, a lot of this stuff has become very, there's a lot more Black people talking about these issues, and I love it. So again, you guys follow her, please. Her channel name is Black Girl Unlost. Hey Venus, happy Tuesday. But let's continue.
Thing you will never see like me doing is arguing with one of you hoes. Cause you wanna know why? I don't know how to argue. I'm gonna run out of shit to say. As soon as I stutter, I'm gonna smack the shit at you. Cause how I don't know what to say, you got me stuttering, hoe, and now I'm finna smack the look at you because you got me looking dumb.
Okay, yeah. So if y'all say a little nipple, maybe. Okay, I just want to start this off with a review. And I really don't review shit. So here we go.
This morning, her body was found on the side of the road near 17th Street and Laurel Avenue Southwest. BPD tells us they don't have any information from neighbors about hearing gunshots, so they are unsure where the shooting happened. Jackson was last seen Sunday morning and reported missing last night.
Just before 11 p.m. on February 25th, Birmingham police issued a missing person alert for 20-year-old mother, Mahogany Jackson, who sent her family a frantic text around 7:30 a.m. that morning. The text stated that she was in danger and being held against her will at an unconfirmed location, although she did manage to send a pin with her location. She also informed her family not to call her, but to send police to the address, leading to the Serenity Apartments in Birmingham's Powderly community. It was immediately thought to have been a kidnapping based on her mother's post to Facebook stating that Mahogany was crying out for help. Her family rushed to put together a search party. However, sadly, just around 2 a.m. the very next morning.
And let me just say, right, I think we all talk about our instincts and what we would do when things happen to us, but this lady, she was very brave, right, to fight for her life the way she did. Right, this young lady, to still fight and get this information out because she was literally not willing to let these people get away with, deleting her. Even though she knew her life was, on borrowed time at this point, she still fought to make sure that the people who harmed her were, put in jail, were taken care of. And so she did a series of very clever things that helped the police find her. And I think, that's an important thing to say here. Even in the face of the most scary and dangerous situations, you still find, women having to be very brave. And a lot of times they are, right? So I just thought that was important to say. Hey, Venus. I'm actually trying to wrap this up after this video. Because I don't want to keep this too long and I do have to get off and now deal with some messy stuff. So I'm not going to drop a link today, but definitely come back for the next one, please. Because I just want to wrap this one up and get out of here. Honestly, I have a headache and I'm just trying to get it done. But I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you back. I know you've been in and out, and it's so easy to do that. But nice to see you here. So let's continue.
Morning, police will receive a phone call about a body on the side of the road. Officers immediately dispatched to 17th Street Southwest and Laurel Avenue, an illegal dumping ground in Southwest Birmingham, where they would find a gruesome scene: the body of an unresponsive adult female underneath a mattress, just 2.5 miles from Mahogany's initial location pin.
We have some late breaking news coming into the WVTM 13 newsroom. Birmingham police now confirming that the body found this morning in the Powderly community was a woman that was reported missing yesterday. Her body was found on Laurel Avenue, a block away from Cedar Avenue. Investigators say she had been shot, but no one heard the gunfire in the area. No one is in custody.
The victim was identified as 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene after succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. The case quickly went from a missing persons case to a homicide. Police weren't able to determine whether she was murdered at the crime scene or another location. Officials said there were no reports of neighbors hearing gunshots in the area, nor any reports of unknown vehicles in the area. Around 6:30 a.m. that morning, Mahogany's mother, who was headed to an Atlanta airport while receiving the text from Mahogany, would make a Facebook post stating, "They killed my child." A look into the investigation will reveal that Mahogany was kidnapped on Sunday and held hostage at her friend's apartment until at least Sunday evening before she was found shot to death on the side of the road early Monday morning. When police and family arrived to her so-called friend's second-floor apartment, she claimed that Mahogany left around 2 a.m. However, because she had already contacted her family directly, police knew this wasn't the case. Mahogany's body would subsequently be located just hours later.
Birmingham police say they are investigating this as a homicide, but right now officers are working to figure out who is responsible for this young woman's death. Now, again, we know they have, quote, individuals detained for questioning, but there have been no formal arrests. Now, earlier this morning, our Jillian Brooks was able to speak to Mahogany Jackson's mom shortly after her body was found. Now, her mother says that Jackson is the mother of a 3-year-old little girl named Nadia, who sadly now will grow up without her mom. Mahogany was reported missing last night around 11 o'clock. And sadly, her body was found this morning with a gunshot wound. Now, that is all according to Birmingham police. But what happened between last night and this morning is still unclear. But police did confirm that the victim texted her family saying that she was in danger and may have been held somewhere against her will.
Right now, we don't have any information of neighbors hearing any gunshots. So right now, we're unsure if it occurred here. We do not have any reports of unknown vehicles coming through the area, but we will definitely check for cameras.
Initially, there were no charges in the case, and police had no leads. However, just a couple days later, police would announce that not one, not two, not even three, but 6 suspects were in custody in connection to the kidnapping and homicide. The Birmingham Police Department arrested Mahogany's friend and ringleader of the entire situation, 26-year-old Tasia Lewis, the very next day. She was reportedly found hiding inside of a broken-into apartment near her apartment in the same complex.
Dumbass hoe. Stupid ass. The blick on stupid ass. Stupid ass.
And let me just say, I have never felt anybody's words stronger than I felt how people were addressing her. She is a stupid ass bitch. Trash. The fact that you would set up somebody you know like this and do them dirty like this is foul. It's disgusting. I don't care what beef you had. This was nasty work. Nasty work, like seriously. So I really like how they addressed her. But let's continue because they definitely are going to talk about why. It's graphic. It's a graphic story though, so just be prepared for that if you are going to talk about it.
Hey hoe. Yeah, that shit sad. Dumbass hoe.
Yo.
Just a small bit of background information before we move forward. According to several posts on Facebook, Tasia was known to set people up, so perhaps it's not surprising at all that she would turn on her own friend. A look into her criminal history revealed that she was arrested in May of 2022 for discharging a firearm into an occupied school bus or school building. So clearly she's been a menace to society for a while. Aimlessly and knowingly shooting into an area with children, 100% psychotic. I did see a couple of posts also alluding to the fact that her mother stated that Mahogany had received her tax refund, and when she went to the ATM machine, Tasia set her up, robbed her, held her hostage while the group assaulted her and then killed her. As far as the tax refund theory, I couldn't find anything on her mother's page backing this up. This has not been confirmed or denied. According to news sources, Mahogany's family did in fact state that her and Tasia had been in a dispute prior to her death. Now, this is where the story gets crazy. This wasn't just any typical small dispute. This was a full-out brawl between two women, two crews, however you want to classify it. I'll let you all be the judge. First and foremost, shout out to VZ Greasy on Facebook for his.
And this is kind of why I decided to include this video and specifically her story in this conversation, right? Because like she said there, this is two crews, two brawls, right? And this is just about who took it further, right? Back in the day, it used to be you fight, you lost, you go home. You get made fun of for a few weeks about how you got your ass beat, and then you move on. But this was a case of who can take it further, and how do we even come to this train of thought, right? I don't care what the beef was. I don't care who jumped who. How do you go this far? What happened to this girl? I don't understand that part, right? And I think that's why some people will look at this and say, oh, well, it was just two crews fighting. No, this is a sick crime. But let's continue.
Firsthand information on how the entire incident unfolded. Apparently, Tasia, along with several other females, brutally beat Mahogany in a parking lot because she was supposedly speaking about one of the females' baby daddies. In an act of revenge, Mahogany and a group of her friends then jumped Tasia inside of a gas station convenience store. This is what everyone believes to have been the motive for the kidnapping and murder. So, of course, I can't show the actual videos of both fights on YouTube due to community guidelines. However, I can give you a narrative as to what occurred. So first you have Tasia and her friends against Mahogany in a parking lot with a guy who allegedly attempts to stop the fight. Mahogany can be seen in the striped pajamas and black shirt. Tasia's friend and Mahogany square up for what seems to be a fair fight. Tasia's friend swings on Mahogany, then Tasia jumps into the fight, throwing Mahogany on the ground and hitting her in the face. Tasia then climbs on top of Mahogany and begins hitting her in the head before she and another girl drag her across the parking lot. Both females then continue to punch her in the head before the fight comes to an end. Now you
And I can relate to this, luxury bucket list, because I think it's sick because I can relate to this in that people would fight and then it's at that. Whoever won, whoever lost, and that was that. But it's like people feel like they gotta get back. They gotta get back. Let's go, let me go get that person. And I'm gonna take it a step further. And people don't ever teach these people impulse control, emotional regulation, which would control a lot of this, right? Because how are you going to jump out the window and attack your friend over your baby daddy? Right? I don't know how true any of this is. A lot of these stories have a lot of rumors around them. A lot of it is stupid community beef, right? They both obviously jumped each other, but the second one came back and felt like they needed to take it a step further to prove their point, and that's crazy, right? There used to be a line, but that line is gone, very gone. I don't think people see a difference with anything. They feel like anything could be a reason to delete somebody, right? So society and culture in general is violent already, but I think people have gotten to a point where they feel like I got to get my get back, so I got to go further than you. And when you're talking about fighting, going further than that is deleting. That's why I don't get how this becomes a culture, how people start to do this and enjoy it. Like it's so low, right? That's why for me, I was really happy to hear people calling her what she was, because she even turned around surprised. Nah, you are trash. You are a piece of garbage. You are a loser. Right? And we need to start having that perspective for people who move like this. I think a lot of people just act like that's just something that happens in the hood. Nah, I think more people need to say, nah, that's just not cool. Nah, let's actually not do that in the hood. So, hey guys, thank you for coming. Appreciate you all. But let's continue.
You had Mahogany and her friends who jumped Tasia inside of a convenience store. Mahogany can be seen here with the blonde hair as her and her friends begin beating Tasia up against an ATM machine. They then throw her to the ground and proceed to punch and kick her in the head before dragging her outside to the parking lot as a male in the background yells, "Bring her outside." Two females then continue to kick and punch her in the head before the fight eventually ends. Three males, two who are 25 years old, and one who is 18, and a 23-year-old female were arrested the day after.
And let me just say, the fact that these dusty ass niggas just jumped into some beef that women were having and willingly and willfully participated in the violence, that's a problem too. You know, because that's goofy ass behavior. Even in the video, the dude who was there wouldn't allow that. He was trying to stop the fight. And I bet you there was a lot of dudes and women who actually attacked him for trying to stop the fight. Right? There's this idea that anything is acceptable if somebody disrespects us. That's crazy. It is not acceptable to delete somebody because they made fun of your baby daddy. Go find somebody who will marry you so that your baby daddy doesn't have to get roasted in the street. Right? Or better yet, don't have a baby daddy. I mean, it's crazy to me that somebody would delete somebody over that in the first place, but y'all need better solutions to your feelings. Right? Emotional regulation is missing. It's absent almost in some of these people. The fact that there were two older dudes, and it seems like they really had nothing to do with this beef, they just jumped into some women's beef, is really pathetic. I mean, everyone involved was just pathetic. Venus, stop. Don't. And they are busted, just like their character is absolutely busted. But the back of the hair caught me off guard. I didn't see how flat it was back there. But just ridiculous. And I mean, look at her, too. She was busted as hell. But instead of doing her hair or trying to present herself better, she's willing to attack the next woman this badly. Right? To actually weaponize men against her. Right? Something they claim that women do to men. Women do it to each other too. This is very common. She was known to set people up. How many more people's lives did she touch because of this? Because of things like this? And she looked surprised when people were calling her a piece of shit. Nah, you should have looked around like, not look around surprised after what you did. It's so weird to me. So weird. To be so young and that dead inside. And, you know, some people will make excuses and they'll say, oh, well, you know, it's about how they grew up. They didn't stand a chance. The hood was so bad. They didn't have a father. And then you look at so many people who grow up in the same environment and are able to move around and overcome the violence. How do you still make excuses for that? Are those Black people living in a different world? It's weird. It's weird. But hey, hey, Indiana Mom, thanks for being here. Thanks for sending everyone over. They have no emotional regulation. That's the only way you justify doing something like this over a man or whatever the situation may have been. They as fast to use reasons as excuses. Exactly. It's really weird to me that we don't teach people, if somebody is talking down on somebody you don't like, you just, did you say father? I'm just saying, you know, it's really weird, but, you know, us East Coasters, they act like we all just blend in with New Yorkers. No, we got our own East Coast lingo too. So, all right, let me continue.
The sad reality of it all is that if Mahogany never sent out that SOS signal to her family, all 6 of these monsters could have gotten away with murder. All 6 suspects are being held on a 48-hour felony extension while police continue to investigate and work to obtain formal warrants. No warrants have been issued. The case will be presented to the district attorney's office to determine any charges that may be filed. Mahogany's death marks Birmingham's 15th murder this year. Her own friend set her up, and for what? Money, jealousy, an argument gone wrong? Only time will tell.
Custody in the death of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson.
Now, those people have not been officially charged, but we expect that to happen soon, and they're looking at some pretty serious charges. Bria Chapman is live and on your side with what we know right now, Bria.
Yeah, Morgan. So the biggest news we've learned today is also the saddest. Now, Birmingham police say this was not a random act of violence. In fact, they say that they believe Mahogany Jackson knew her killers, even referring to the 6 in custody, some of those as her friends. Now, Birmingham police also telling me that the text Jackson sent her mother, letting her know she was in danger, has played a significant role in this case. Now, Jackson was reported missing late Sunday night, and she was found dead on 17th Street Southwest in Laurel Avenue Monday morning, suffering from a gunshot wound. Now, 6 people are being held right now, and we expect them to be charged with capital murder. Now, this case is a capital murder case because sources say Jackson was kidnapped before being murdered. Now, Birmingham police say that.
Just to quickly move to the next video, because there are some new changes. Yes, there are charges now, and the number of people who've been charged has also increased. So I don't know if the video that I got is actually that actually has all of the most updated information, but I know it has fairly updated info. This was posted shortly after the first one came out, after they got more information about all the sorry guys, too close to my face. After they got all the information about who the other people involved were. So let me just pull up the update video. And again, guys, keep paying attention to this story. Don't just drop it now because of because I put it out there and that's it, and that's all we need to consume. Keep talking about this story. I think Venus is going to cover it. Make sure you guys also get updated information on this show. But yes, it did increase. It ends up increasing to 8 people. Now, I don't know if this video exactly shows that, because I was trying to sift through the news, but also get the most detailed explanation, because the regular news is not giving all the context that we don't get in these videos of individual journalists, Black journalists on YouTube. So yeah, it did increase to 8 people. Because they were all involved and they were all disgusting, low vibrational human beings. They all got involved in it. It was very, very disgusting and brutal. We really haven't gotten into a lot of the details of the crime, but it was a very brutal crime. So let's see the update.
Birmingham police are investigating the city's 15th murder of 2024. And this case may end up being about more than a homicide.
Well, this started out as a missing persons case yesterday, but before Mahogany Jackson's friends and family could even get out and search for her today, it turned into a homicide.
According to her mother's social media post, 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson leaves behind a young daughter. They had planned to search for her today, but the case took a tragic turn before daylight.
Just after 2 a.m., South Precinct officers received a call of a deceased person. When officers arrived on the scene.
Now, let me just say, too, right? I definitely think we got to do our due diligence and make sure we're getting the right information, but the police have spoken. There was a press conference about the evidence and what they know, and that, if you really want to know, gives the best information about all the people involved, how involved they are in the charges. Now, that video I didn't want to outright play because they break down the crime very blatantly, and I think the details of the crime are very upsetting. So I did think that the story and kind of seeing the news around it and all that was a little bit more digestible than hearing the brutal crimes that were committed to her. So they do still remember all, mention all of this stuff. But the press conference it's brutal, and all of the information that is accurate is over there. So if you guys want to watch that because you want to get the most detailed information, you absolutely can. again, Taz Exclusive also covered this story. So he has a very detailed video, and he does show the press conference and parts of it that detail what happened to this young lady and why a lot of us have a hard time digesting it, but we still have to put the info out there. So again, this case is a very tragic case, but the people involved and their involvement and all that, that's been established already. The press conference is the best, probably the best information giver in this case. And it also gives you a quick update of what everyone is charged in. A lot of the girls are still charged with assault, even though they aren't, in the end, charged with the deletion itself. So there's a lot of information that's out there, but the reality is 8 people were involved in this young lady's death. So let's continue.
They observed an adult female lying unresponsive, suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. Birmingham Fire and Rescue arrived on the scene and pronounced the victim deceased.
Authorities identified the body as Mahogany Jackson. According to social media posts made by her mother, Jackson had texted her family before 8 on Sunday morning asking for help, saying she had been kidnapped and even sent a pin of her location. Police aren't saying at this point whether they think she was killed where her body was found or at another location.
Even through her grief, Rose says she's thankful for Jackson's courage in what investigators believe were her final moments.
I feel better because we are getting justice. That we are. She helped us solve her own case.
Now holding on to memories of this young mother who they say was full of life, taken too soon. Maddox says they will lean on one another as they now learn to live without her.
A total of now 7 people have officially been charged in the death of 20-year-old mother, Mahogany Jackson, who was held against her will and tortured for hours before she was fatally shot by several individuals who were her friends at one point in time. Mahogany sent a text to her mother stating, "Send the police, apartment 3, held hostage, don't call." She also sent her location to her sister. Her body would be found hours later underneath a mattress at an illegal dumping site in the 1700 block of Laurel Avenue in Southwest Birmingham. The Birmingham Police Department has confirmed that 26-year-old Tasia Lewis and Mahogany had an ongoing dispute, reportedly about something previously taken from Tasia's apartment, and that people were looking for Mahogany. Fight videos were also shared on social media following Mahogany's disappearance. It was also discovered that Mahogany was sexually assaulted, with part of the ordeal being captured on video by the suspects. Police stated that the video evidence played a pivotal role in the investigation and the subsequent charges, along with the help of the community. Police declined to release details of the crime in order to shield the family. However, they did confirm that Mahogany was taken to several different locations during the hours she was held hostage. Birmingham's police chief said the cruel nature of the death was worse than most he had seen in years as a homicide investigator, and that the actions displayed by the suspects were barbaric and have no place in society, very disturbing and violent. The Jefferson County District Attorney's Office issued the warrants just 3 days after the murder, announcing them in a subsequent press conference. Brandon Pope, 24, Francis Harris, 25, and Jeremiah McDowell, 18, are charged with capital murder during a first-degree kidnapping and capital murder during first-degree sodomy. Giovanni Clapp, 23, and Blair Green, 25, are charged with felony murder, the underlying felony being kidnapping or sodomy, as well as first-degree kidnapping and first-degree sodomy. 26-year-old Tasia Lewis, the ringleader of the entire incident, is charged with felony murder. Sanaya McCall, 23, is charged with felony murder, first-degree kidnapping, and first-degree sodomy. Tasia Lewis and Giovanni Clapp are also charged with second-degree assault for pistol whipping Mahogany. Just days after Mahogany's gruesome and untimely murder, a candlelight vigil and balloon release with family, friends, and community members was held in the parking lot.
And it's so sad because, this was a very, very gruesome crime, right? This does not fit whatever beef they had. Okay, we're talking about taking this person to multiple locations to torture and assault them. There's nothing about this that is normal. This is egregious, right? A lot of those men are grown, old police officers, and they're saying this is some of the worst they've seen. When I watched that press conference, the look on those police officers' face tells me that whatever they saw when they found that girl's body when she was examined was horrific. And it's really, truly disgusting that we're looking at all the people involved, and they were people she thought were her friends. You know, these situations are crazy because they go from y'all are cool, y'all are friends, to now that same person that you're cool and friends with could very quickly become the person who's why you're not here anymore. Right? The reason why your kids aren't raised with a parent. I mean, the real issue here is that people aren't really friends. They just want to be around people. Right? A lot of times they want to be around people because they like the attention that person brings. Right? In the video about haters, we talked about how a hater sometimes can understands that they can get something out of being around someone successful, right? Someone who's doing well. They know they can be lifted up. But the problem is you got to be careful with people like that, because a lot of the times for them to lift you up, they got to push. For them to be lifted up by you, they got to push you down. They got to stomp on you. They got to delete you. They got to harm you. They got to participate in torturing you this way. This is sick. And to know that this was a crime that 4 men and 4 women were involved in is actually pretty disgusting. And at first, nobody was charged. But then when she's getting arrested, people couldn't even hold back their disgust. And I really wish that more people, when things like this happen, actually addressed it this way. Right? Because those people were really, really angry about how gruesome this was. It's the first time I'm seeing emotion that isn't all forgiving in these cases. Isn't saying I forgive that person, or I've accepted that person. I'm not mad at them. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You hurt somebody for no reason. You took things way too far, and you really don't deserve to be outside of a cage. Sorry to say that. But it just is what it is. If you got to put your hands on people like this, if you got to go all the way out of pocket to delete somebody because of an argument you started, it's crazy. The thing is, people normalize fighting so much that people aren't going to their family. I mean, these were brawls at one point, right? It was 2 crews, as they said. But when these crews go out there and they're fighting people, they don't expect that people are going to go this far out of pocket. But I think society has proved to us that people will pretty much do anything. They will go all the way to hell for any reason. I definitely agree with that. I think there is a lack of attachment to reality and human beings, right? And people, right? I definitely think that a lot of us have become kind of delusional in that we see ourselves further away from reality than we actually are. Right? A lot of us play these video games and watch these movies and shows, and we don't realize how much we are normalizing these things in our minds. And some people are just sick individuals. And it has nothing to do with any of those things that are mentioned there. It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, but I'll definitely say that today we are more detached and more delusional. And that's a scary thing. Yeah, exactly. It's really disgusting what happened to this girl. To know what erased you. Honestly, I think those people were already far gone. You know, they talk about how she discharged a weapon in a vehicle, in a bus, or inside of a building where children were located. So I don't think that we're talking about people who were of any substance or morality. I mean, we're talking about very degenerate people in general already. So I don't think she had humanity left, really. But I do think with leniency in charging and with, people always assuming that people are wrongfully accused. Nah, there's some people that did that shit. And she clearly got arrested in 2022 for doing that shit. And now whether she was able to get out or claim there was an accident or what, we know that the charges have been lesser lately, and especially since the pandemic. Yeah, it's hard to, I think it's scary. I would be scared to be a parent because you got to really worry about everywhere they are. School, their friends, supposedly, right? People who look in your face and tell you, yeah, you know what, this is my friend, I'm going to take care of them. There's a lot of fear for parents right now. And that maybe there always was. Let me go here. I was actually trying to highlight this. Yeah. It's weird because some people are so sick in the head that they really do feel like life's a game, right? And them getting their get back is part of some big scheme that was made for them to get somebody, like, just so weird. The way people rationalize the sick shit that they do is weird to me. Like, you'll have people having whole storylines in their head. It's pretty sick. And a lot of it is a symptom of dysfunction that's already been there, but we don't really have excuses at this point to not be dealing with it.
Of Tasia Lewis's apartment complex to honor her life.
Probably one of the most heinous acts I've seen in my career. It's absolutely disgusting.
Birmingham police arrest more than half a dozen people in a young mother's deadly kidnapping. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Guy Rawlings.
And I'm Sherry Falk. Mahogany Jackson's body was found earlier this week in the Powderly neighborhood. BPD says that 7 people have been charged with her murder.
WVTM 13's Gladys Bautista has the latest.
The facts of this case are deplorable and sickening. Saddest of all, they were made public by the suspect's decision to videotape portions of this horrific act.
Strong words from Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurman Wednesday as he announced the arrest of these 7 people in the death of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson.
All of these individuals were acquaintances, that they were not strangers to one another.
And disturbing new details of what took place before Jackson was killed.
We have determined that Mahogany was a victim of sexual assault with murder and kidnapping.
The ordeal beginning on Sunday when Thurman says Jackson sent the family member a text message saying she had been kidnapped.
Our investigators spent all day out, most of that night, trying to locate her, following up on leads to see where she could be and things of that nature. And then, unfortunately, a few hours later, we received information of where her body was.
Early Monday morning on Laurel Avenue in the Powderly neighborhood is where the missing persons case became a murder investigation after Jackson was found shot. But Thurman credits Birmingham residents with what happened next.
With assistance from the community, detectives were not only able to locate Mahogany Jackson's body, but detectives took 7 suspects responsible for Mahogany's murder into custody within 48 hours of this investigation.
Now, Giovanni Clapp, Blair Green, Francis Harris, Tasia Lewis, Sanaya McCall, Jeremiah McDowell, and Brandon Pope all sit behind bars. All are charged with murder, and 6 of the 7 also face charges for sodomy and kidnapping.
There's videos of some of these heinous acts taking place, and that's something that was a pivotal piece of the investigation.
The tragic end of...
And let me just say, it's very clear that they were following up on every lead. They were working very diligently to solve this case, right? And he, at the end of this press conference, I don't know if we're going to get to it in this video because I know she's just updating, right? They said 7, but it did actually jump up to 8 people, right? 4 men and 4 women, but this case was very egregious. Very, very egregious. I was speechless listening to a lot of this. So again, as they describe all of these acts, trigger warning. I know they've said a bunch of triggering words, but again, trigger warning. But this case actually kind of shocked the hell out of me because I have heard stories of people being set up and all that. And you hear oh, you such and such, she set somebody else up, so that was why. So we're telling me that it was normal and okay for them to kidnap, torture, and delete and assault her, right? Sexually assault her, because that happened as well. It was that was an equal reaction for her jumping somebody because of what somebody said, being jumped back, and then this reaction that she had that anybody would have is normal. It's sick. It's sick. And it is kind of sad, that kids who go to school, kids who go to colleges, they're in a lot of danger too. But, they're really lucky to have parents who are conscious of all of this, Indiana moms. So I think even though, you feel like you don't have a lot of control and all of that, the fact that you have the information and you're going out of your way to make sure that your children have all the resources they need, that is the most and the best that you could and should be doing. There's no other control that you have over anything that happens. So I think the more preparation and learning that they encourage young people to have, the better they are to not get into these type of situations. Honestly, the internet has provided a different beast. Some people are getting off on deleting people and having it be on the internet. I mean, we're talking about people who have nothing to lose. And this is not me saying that that's an excuse. But these people obviously have nothing to lose to go this far over getting jumped after you jump somebody, right? This is where GBG makes no sense, right? Get back gang. I'm not talking about the gang with these bandits online. I'm talking about where the people have been saying GBG. People have been saying get back gang. But they don't realize that eventually you're going to have to go to hell to keep getting your get back if that's all you're going to do. It's sick. But I still don't think that if she had gotten jumped for getting someone jumped, I still don't think that her getting someone jumped warrants this level of abuse and action to her. This was a lot of personalized, egregious crimes that they did to her. They violated, and they were sharing it in group chats and all types of sick behavior. I don't think that we need to understand some things. Understanding why a criminal would do something like this is not something that I go out of my way to try and understand. Well, they're not original. They haven't had an original thought in their life, right? That's why we even had to pull up Thomas Cowell to show that they got the argument of removing welfare from, somebody who doesn't even see it the same way they do. Right? Get Back Gang, it was not created by these bandits online, but they did grab it and use it as a slogan and a mascot. So I don't believe in fallen nature because we as humans evolved into behaving the way we do out of survival. Right? So us having standards not to delete each other and not to do this, that, and the third, those are unspoken social contracts. Right? If you want to be part of society, you want to enjoy the freedoms of society, you don't get to kill people. Right? You don't get to commit heinous crimes like this against people. So calling it fallen nature is almost excusing how depraved people become. You don't need to give credit to bandits in here. Someone time out Big Joss for 10 seconds, please. You don't need to give credit to bandits in here, Big Joss. We know who the bandits in question are. They want to act like they don't know nobody. Don't say those dusty bandits' names in my chats. Let the haters go talk about whatever somewhere else. Amen. Let's continue.
A horrific ordeal for the young mother and her family, who police say organized a search party before officers found her body. Thurman now hoping these arrests send a message.
This is the outcomes that we can have when we all work together. We can get these people off the street very quickly, to ensure the safety of everyone in Birmingham when we all work together and information is shared.
God is within her. She will not fail. God will help her at break of day.
Lit candles, balloons, and lots of pink.
I seen all that pink in the air. I'm like, this for my girl. This for my girl right here. This for her.
Family and friends of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson, among them her cousins Tatiana Maddox and Amber Rowe, gathering at the Serenity Apartments in Birmingham's Powderly neighborhood to honor and remember her.
When I pulled up, my heart did drop because it was so much love. Like, for real, like all your size. She was little.
It was just 4 days ago on Sunday when Jackson texted loved ones telling them she was being held in an apartment here and to call for help. By the time police and family arrived, Jackson was gone. Her body was found on Monday on Laurel Avenue, less than 2 miles away. Investigators say she was kidnapped and taped being sexually assaulted before being shot.
I'm really numb because she literally left from with me. Like, it's really heartbreaking.
We love you. We love you. We love you.
The cries from Jackson's mother in this crowd, giving a sound to a broken heart. Just yesterday, police announced the arrests of 7 people, 3 women and 4 men. All are charged with murder, and all but 1 are charged with sodomy and kidnapping in Jackson's death. Even through her grief, Rose says she's thankful for Jackson's courage in what investigators believe were her final moments.
I feel better because we are getting justice. That we are. She helped us solve her own case.
Now holding on to memories of this young mother who they say was full of life, taken too soon. Maddox says they will lean on one another as they now learn to live without her.
That's our girl. That's the baby out the group. So it been hard on us, but we a family. Like, we got each other no matter what. Like, we're going to get through this, of course, but we're going to miss our girl. We already missing our girl. Right. Like, that was a piece of our puzzle.
We love you.
So again, shout out to Black Girl Unlost. Her and a lot of content creators have done the work. They literally go out of their way to present the most accurate and up-to-date information. So I appreciate the fact that I have people like that to look to for media that actually represents us now. That is a big thing that has been changing for quite a while now. It's still fairly slow, but I think a lot more people are trying to go out of their way to tell these stories. And these 2 stories to me were very sad, unfortunately. I think a lot of these cases are, a lot of it has to do with people who, you could say depraved, but I think that even excuses their behavior. The channel is called Black Girl Unlost. So I can try and put the link in the chat. Let me see if I can find, because I think she does a really good job of not only covering the cases, but also coming back and, doing the updates. A lot of, people will focus on a story and they won't really do all the updates and give you the most up-to-date information. But from what I've seen from her, I think she does a really good job of Sorry, I was distracted by trying to get her link, but I think she does a really good job of breaking the information down and going back to update the case and giving the most accurate info. Obviously, we've seen how some of these people will, just run with whatever information anybody puts in front of them. But I do think that her and lots of other people, including Nick at Night, actually do a really good job of getting info, letting people just talk, right? Like just letting the information speak for itself, but also putting information out there. No, you're good. I wanted to put it in the chat so, people can not only see it, but what do you call it? Subscribe and hopefully get their information about this. So, the channel actually goes into a lot of things. And again, this is why I think it's important to always have advocacy focus, because I think, if we're seeing things like this and it makes us cry, the empathy is there. We got to push through the tears. Because a lot of these women, they don't have people who are consistently advocating and fighting for their stories to be heard. They just have their people, right? She was lucky enough to be, surrounded by people who loved her and who advocated for her and who wanted her to get justice. But that's not the case for everyone. Some people's stories go untold, right? Some people's stories are they're told inaccurately or never solved. So I think, her family definitely stepped out for her. But this is a cautionary tale in some ways, where I think not only do we have to address what's going on in the community, but I think that we also have to make sure that we're aware of the likelihood of all this stuff happening to us. Right? Because it's easy to look at or see some of these things and feel far removed from it, but it could really be any person, any day. This could be your group of friends. Now, do I think all of us don't have the ability to understand when people are actually for or against us? No, but I do think sometimes we see the best in people, and that can be dangerous too. So, I don't think it's something that has a one answer fix all, but I think it starts with us being real about what's happening and calling this behavior out. I know, shy girl. And as somebody who's cried, I understand. Just got to make sure we stay informed, regardless of how hard the information can be to consume. We got to stay informed, not only for these women and so that their stories get told, but so that we understand the dangers in the world and we can make sure to keep ourselves and our people safe. So, all right, y'all. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning into my show. I really appreciate you guys. Honestly, I think sometimes I get nervous even doing content like this because I don't want to dilute it. I don't want to misrepresent anything. I don't want to do a poor job of telling the story. So a lot of the times I want to look for the most accurate information. And a lot of times that will be watching other great journalists and hopefully Black journalists who are going out and seeking this information, because we know the media isn't going to focus on these stories. We know they're going to paint it as just any old other crime in the hood. So thank you all for being here, for being part of the conversation. I already took my earrings off. I was getting ready to change my outfit, and then I was like, let me just end the show how I started it, except for the earrings. So thank you all for being here, and I hope that you come back. I hope that you subscribed and liked the video. I hope you come back and watch other things on the channel, and that you hopefully come back and support more content like this. All right, so thank you guys, and I hope you have a great day. I'll send you off with what these bandits are. Oh, it's so low, you guys can't.
I can't talk no broke boy, no. I can't talk no broke boy. I can't talk no. That nigga's crazy. Hopping in, bitch, and I saw it to be. Snakes in the grass, so they harder to see. My brother would give up his life to the O. He told me he'd go be a martyr for me. Said that she ready to come to the 6. I hit up Pauline and charter the P. Ain't really leave, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm riding around in Atlanta with Sav, cause that nigga been going harder than me. Nothing to change, I'm just harder to please. Ferrari is making an SUV. We ain't got a choice, we ordering these. Shout out Noel for recording the V's. He know where this shit about to go, cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe, and don't even mention the foe, unless you was trying to go broke. Whoa, I got more stripes than Adidas. Yeah, I got the stripes. I don't chase bitches, I leave them. Hoes screaming like I'm I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas like a pussy. I don't get mad, I get even. Treat you niggas that you whoa. All that foundation she wearing, she thinks she QC. Telling I might sneaky link you with me. You must be Coach K cause you ain't P. I'm on the jet like my last name Lee. 2 fists in my hand like I'm playing the Wii. G-Block babies will spank you for free. We rough niggas up, now they begging for peace. Baby. Stepping on shit out in French in my toe. One in I toe, I'm so OVO. Halloween coming, he wanna dress up, but he don't need no costume. I'm turning on ghosts. She caught me mute cause I stay in her throat. See, hit that boy, got his ass hitting notes. My niggas were mad, so you know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe. And don't even mention the foe. Unless you was trying to go broke. Oh damn, man, you niggas is the worst. Savage, snatch you out your crib, then drop you in a hearse. Baby, please, man, me nervous. Stop reaching in your purse. Nigga went and bought a house when he could've bought a verse. Niggas dumb as fuck. Imagine if I did that stupid shit when I was coming up. My crib feel like a hedge fund. I be in here just thumbing up.